Before this war's over, I'm going to kill you.
Why wait?
I'm just a ghost in the pines, a shadow with a score to bind. You can dress it up with flags and lines, but I just want what's mine. They lit that church with prideful fire. Now I carry my son's desire, not for country, not for fame, but to carve truth into their name. He called it honor.
Hopefully that worked well for everybody. That was a really good trailer, man.
Yeah,
That might be your best one yet. It's probably
absolutely.
It's probably a tie between that and
American Psycho or Jaws.
No, there was one other one. Oh, Gladiator. That was a really good one.
Oh,
too.
yeah, that was another
that
original
really
song too.
But yeah, how is everybody? What's up, Joe? You know, just letting everybody know we're having some technical difficulties with Streamlabs today. This will be the last stream that's ever done through Streamlabs. So, but Joe, how are you doing besides that?
I'm doing good. Some technical difficulties does not remotely explain it at all. We're piecing this thing together.
Yeah, this is a piecemeal. We're gonna have to be doing weird share screen stuff. Before we get started, though, we did have a super chat. So I'm going to address that quickly. From Angry Batman for $10 American dollars.
As it should be.
I just realized I forgot my headband. I had an American flag headband. I don't even know where it is. But won't be able to catch this live. But this movie makes me want to cover myself in red, white, and blue paint. Throw some tea in a harbor and use a flag as a weapon. Cinematic and historical perfection. 100% historically accurate movie. It's a known fact. Nobody has ever created a more historical movie than Roland Emmerich, who But you know what though? Before we actually get into all that stuff, first of all, obviously address. I know I did the super chat. I'll address the patriotic. Yep, the patriotic T-Rex. Have them for almost every holiday. Only one I haven't been able to find is Valentine's Day. For some reason, you'd think that would be a slam dunk. It'd just be a pink shirt with a T-Rex on, but whatever. I don't know.
Must have a hell of a Kwanzaa one too.
Actually, I don't celebrate Kwanzaa, so. But everybody, Proctofile, Morgan S, everybody who's out there, I'm sure we'll get more as we go along. But there's also probably a lot of people barbecuing today, so I don't expect the same level of people to show up. But that's okay. But you know who did show up? I originally had 2 guests planned. One couldn't make it, but punching his way through to watch this movie with us, I met this guy. Not that long ago, actually. It's funny because he had reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, I don't know if you know who I am." And I was like, "Yeah, you were on Open Bar." And I told him the day, and he was like, "Oh, wow, I'm really shocked." He was like, "I was like, yeah, I actually pay attention to stuff. Like, what's going on?" But I had a lot of fun talking with him about Bloodsport over on his channel, and now he's coming over here. And that is the Box Office Brawl.
Yes. What's up, guys? Thanks for hyping me up, man. That was good.
I tried to do your voice, but I can't get your voice. You have like a really relaxed kind of chill voice.
Mellow, chill. Yeah.
And when I do it, I just sound like I'm making fun of people when I try to do a mellow and chill voice. So
you sounded good. You hyped me up. And World War Joe, that edit, that was hard. That was good.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I love that. I feel like edits like that, that's what gets me into a lot of these films. Like, a lot of stuff that I haven't seen that has always piqued my curiosity is, just scrolling through Instagram and seeing like a hard edit on something. And it gets you hyped up. I think that's something that the young generation kind of has going for us is, we waste time scrolling through our phones, and sometimes we'll get something like that really causes us to be curious. And I think that is actually how I kind of got introduced to the Patriot when I watched it for the first time, because I just love hard edits like that. They just get you excited. And that was good stuff.
Just wait to the final battle. We got a hell of a song to end this movie.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Not a problem. Lost for Words for $2. Two fake British
lame
imperialist monies. Belated Treason Day trailers.
I'm sorry, I don't speak second place.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we don't talk about that.
They are the villains in this story. Clearly.
So I guess, I mean, you sort of already did it, Brawler, but do you recall the first time that you saw this movie? I know you're younger than both me and Joe, so for you, it's a lot of times you have a whole show, by the way. He has a whole show that's dedicated to being, a young dude catching these movies for the first time, which I love. I love that you're doing that.
Thanks, man. I'm getting dogged so much for not knowing anything. It's not my
Don't worry,
fault.
dude. How old are
out.
you again? You're like 20
I'm
23.
23.
Yeah, like you have. There's literally hundreds of thousands of movies. If you watched 5 movies a day from the day you're born, and you live to like 85, you still wouldn't have watched half of the movies that exist. So don't worry, it's just people being idiots.
Yeah, I know. I'm catching up. Got a lot of catch up to do, but it's a real privilege to do it, and I love it. There's not a single moment where I'm at home and I'm interested in watching a newer film that just released on my TV, because there's just so many great films I haven't seen already that are the cult classics. So yeah, that's sort of what I do on my channel. But as for The Patriot, I can't exactly recall the first time, but one of my favorite films of all time is Signs. I love Signs, Mel Gibson. I'm a big fan of Mel Gibson. I've always considered him one of my cinematic heroes. I love him in We Were Soldiers, Signs, The Patriot. I actually love him in Daddy's Home too. That's one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. And I know it's so stupid, but that's like my Christmas movie, and Mel Gibson's a big part of why I enjoy that. So yeah, I can't remember.
I think most people's like Christmas movies are pretty cheesy. So don't worry.
Yeah, okay, it's not too bad. But yeah, the first time I watched The Patriot, I can't recall exactly when, but it was not. I mean, it wasn't recently. It was probably pre-2020, and you know what? It was a monumental film for me. I remember growing up because, I'm a patriotic person, but even earlier in my development, I didn't really understand the history very well, and unfortunately, I feel like a lot of audiences, including myself, when you watch a film, especially like a historical film, you kind of have just like a blanket of trust that what you're watching is historically accurate. So I guess, before I read into it more, it does turn out this movie is not 100% historically accurate.
Oh, yes. No. What are you talking about? Did you not read the title of the stream? 100%.
I really wish it was, but it's like, that was sort of my entrance into this time period. And I think I was just really inspired by Mel Gibson's character in this, and really all the side characters. They all just create such a beautiful ensemble cast of just cinematic heroes that I look up to. And rewatching it again for this stream, it emboldens me to be more patriotic myself.
Before we move on, we actually have a question for you from Proctophile. Have you seen The Rock?
What's up, Proctophile? The Rock? No, that came up recently in conversation. I don't know anything about that. Is that a Mel Gibson film?
No, the Rock is
Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, Sean Connery, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people say that it's kind of a spiritual sequel to, or like a spiritual successor to what is it?
One of the 007 movies.
Yeah, I forget which one. It's James Bond. I don't remember which. Like they basically said, like if you watch it right after a specific James Bond movie, where I don't remember exactly which one, but it's not. There wasn't an intention, but
I want to hope it is.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Joe, do you recall the first time? This is the first time I think ever that I have a real true story about the first time I saw the movie. So
I don't really remember the first time I watched it, but I watched it with my wife for her first time pretty much about a year ago, and she loved it. The villain is, I think, one of the best villains in cinematic history, one of the most evil dudes to ever be on a screen. So I think that's what we need the most out of a movie, a great hero and a hell of a villain, and this movie still stands up today, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Here we go. It's from Rachel Percy. It's Diamonds Are Forever. I've seen a lot of the James Bond movies, but I don't know off the top of my head what the orders are, and which it's like, except for maybe the ones that came out while I was alive. I know the orders of those ones, but the ones from before I was born, I'm just like, yeah, I know that one was Sean Connery or that one was Roger Moore, but I don't know which order because there was also like there was a point where Sean Connery left, he came back, so it kind of screws everything up a little bit.
Again, I need to watch all of those too. It's bad.
Marathon.
As for me, the first time I saw this movie, when I was in middle school, it was when it came out. I don't remember which year of school it was, but my history teacher had actually it was like right at the advent of DVDs too. He had the DVD, and what he did was we had like an all-purpose. We had like an actual theater, like with the seats and everything. So for my entire what we called blocks, it was like your section of the grade. He basically rented out the theater. He was like he booked it for the whole day, and they showed it cinematic style on a screen, and he even brought in a like a popcorn machine, which was pretty cool. And then a few months later, he got a summons because he was being sued for distributing it to a large group of people. I don't know how they found out about
so
that.
Lame.
But,
Wow. You think that he'd be able to plead like not guilty, like for educational purposes?
I think that's what he did. I think he did do that, but I think one of the problems was they actually sold popcorn and stuff, so they had to like because it was like they did it, but what they ended up using it was as for a fundraiser, so they were able to say it was for nonprofit. So that was. But I remember seeing it, and that like because I didn't see it in theaters in the traditional sense. I saw it that way in theaters, which is pretty cool.
In a theater.
Yeah, in a middle school theater, and I thought that was to this day I still love this movie. It's one of those it's just one of those ones. I don't care that it's not like I said, I'm joking, but it's not 100% historically accurate. So, but yeah, so
it'd probably be a lot more boring if it was.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys watched the so I personally watched the extended unrated edition, which it's a little too long. It adds about like 15-20 minutes to the movie, and it's just a little too long. I think the theatrical cut is better for this one. I just watched it because I don't even remember which parts were added. There's like a subplot with the Cherokee, and like they're the ones who captured, like found like people, and there's a little bit more from Jason Isaacs. But
is that part of his past, Mel Gibson's past, that they keep referencing?
No, so it's like they use the British used a lot of the Cherokee and a lot of other tribes as scouts during the Revolution. So and there's like a subplot where they're involved, and there's more about the Green Dragoons. But they trimmed a lot of that and made it more streamlined, which is pretty good. But I say we get into it. What do you guys say?
Hell yeah.
Oh,
we got a lot to digest.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we're gonna have to do this in a.
Let me try to share my screen. See how this goes.
Okay. Let's see.
Close up all my.
There we go.
We all good right here?
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I'll be back in like 3 seconds. There's gonna be 2 Joe Burkeyes for a second.
Man, I love those tomahawks though.
Have you ever thrown one of those?
I think so. Yeah, there's like a Renaissance festival where I live.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly where I went to. One in Pennsylvania.
Oh, there we go. I'm Ohio, so
it's close enough.
Doesn't a turkey leg sound so good right now?
At Magic Kingdom down here, they have giant turkey legs everywhere.
Oh, really?
It's like a staple of Disney is turkey legs.
Oh, nice. I love the turkey leg. At mine, they have bread bowls, and then they get mac and cheese, and you put the bread bowl. It's so good, man.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm dying for that right
weirdly
now.
enough, the turkey legs, they're pink. So you look at them like, is that ham? No, they smoke them in such a way.
Wait, you said Magic Kingdom?
They're cured.
In Disney World, yeah.
Oh, okay, nice. Huh.
Yeah.
Weird. I don't know if I want to eat a pink one. That's a little concerning.
It's an experience.
I don't think that's turkey. Oh, that's funny.
Dark hour, you said I can't see the screen at all.
Hold on. I'm
okay, no, just take your time. We'll keep talking about turkey legs.
Yeah, turkey legs are good.
I had to go get my headband. I'm sorry. Hold on.
But you made a great point, though. A lot of modern movies today absolutely are terrible, and there's no point ever watching something new. Like I'm not excited for anything coming out.
I know. It's like, I love the experience of just going to the theater and watching something, and it's like nothing is good enough to warrant watching it at your own home because I want to go out and do something, and that's part of it.
Our theater has old showings, so we saw The Mummy, we saw Jaws, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles recently too. So that's kind of when we go to the theaters these days.
What theater chain do you go to?
I personally go to Cinemark.
Yes.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I love Cinemark.
Yeah.
AMC's not that great.
Nah.
So the thing about I love how the tomahawk is a very it's they start with this image because it's very important both to his history and what's going to end up happening throughout the movie. It's kind of like the through line of his life, this tomahawk.
I wonder how many lives he took with it.
Quite a few. Quite a few in this movie alone.
I was going to say, this movie alone, a lot of those. Yep. So, I'm sorry.
Yeah, once the tomahawk comes into the picture, this movie gets started.
Absolutely.
That first scene, which I know we're gonna get to it. I just can't wait to talk about it.
Let's get into this. So we start off with a beautiful logo of the Patriot. And we see Benjamin Martin's not plantation, right? He has like a farm and stuff like that, I guess.
So it's I guess it would not technically be a plantation because I don't think it's large enough. Like plantation has a certain
pretty big.
Well, I mean, but he also he uses freed. He doesn't have slaves. He actually like pays them and they all work for him.
They mentioned that later on though.
Yeah.
Yep. So
which was actually not crazy uncommon for the not super hyper rich. You know, it was more like sharecropping, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep. So a messenger shows up and the family is very excited for it to see the two sons here, that it would be a tragedy if something happened to either one of them, but later on. So we get to Benjamin, and he has his own little hobbies. He likes to make chairs in his free time, but the problem is he's not good at the chairs at all, which is somehow pivotal to the plot line later on though. But
not really. It's like a side gag. I wouldn't say it's pivotal to
it's
the plot.
Character development. So we use the extended cut here.
Yeah, I didn't understand why they even added that because I didn't see the purpose at all throughout the whole film.
So it's one of those
about
things.
A man's life as he's trying.
That's what I was going to say. One of the things is I think that it represents in a subtle way his inability to adjust to regular life. That he can't do like basic things half the time. He's but realistically, it's just to add flavor. He has a hobby he's not good at.
I love I'm not saying you're wrong. I love the fact that you just said all that, but I bet when they made the movie, they said, wouldn't it be funny if he's just bad at chairs? That's probably what it is. But the messenger has a letter for him, and they go to, I believe it's Charlestown?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it is, though. And
Charleston. Yeah, we call it Charleston now, but...
Oh, okay. And they're discussing if they should go to war. And now Benjamin, of course, is a war veteran of the French and Indian War, and he is very against going to war with them because, as he says in the speech, he talks about how it's not going to be on some distant battlefield. It's going to be in our backyards, our sons, and everyone's going to be involved. It's not going to be far away from everything. So he wants to live a life as a pacifist, essentially, I think, and just wants to build chairs all day.
Well, you know what they say about the soldier's the last person that wants a war because they're the ones who have to fight it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's seen things, he's seen shit, and like there's several people in this. I guess this is like an assembly. It's not a Congress. It's like an assembly.
Yeah.
And he's trying to basically warn them, like, if we go to war, first of all, you're going to war with pretty much it's one of the top two most powerful countries in the world at this point.
Definitely the biggest army back then.
Yeah, I mean, it's like France was pretty legit too, but they had the tendency to infight a lot more than England at this point. And you're not going up against an easy opponent. This isn't going to be a cakewalk. They're going to fuck you up really bad, and he's aware of that because he fought for them.
Yeah, something I respect about this whole sequence here is I believe the high-ranked officer there, he's a colonel. Is that right? Him?
Yes. I think he's a colonel at this point. Eventually, he becomes the general.
It says Colonel Henry Burwell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
In the movie, he goes from colonel to general because the general leaves.
Oh yeah, he stepped up. Yeah, that's right.
Also, there's a lot of time that goes in this movie. Like, I didn't realize that it was 2 years at one point. Like, how long was this war?
How long was the revolution?
Yeah,
5 years.
That's a long ass time.
That's the funny thing. The kids don't age at all throughout all 5 years. They're just the same. Like, like 8-year-old children the whole time. That doesn't help the cause. But what I was trying to say was I really liked how that character there, although he disagreed with Mel Gibson, they had like a real mutual respect for each other, and they were pretty polar opposite sides of the story here. And that was something I just immediately was drawn to the Colonel's character for, because I don't know, he had a kind of a glow to him.
Sorry. I mean, so technically, I guess the final battles, the official treaty wasn't signed until '83, so it would have been basically 6 years, like effectively.
Ooh, it's a long ass time.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yep. So as they're discussing the plans of it, of course, Gabriel on the left, he wants to go to war because he feels like it's his duty to do it, and Benjamin does not cast a vote, but it still passes. And like, hey, we're all gonna go to war, everyone, and of course they're very excited about it. And of course, Benjamin does not want his son going to war at all because he knows how terrible it is, but he signs up anyway. But thankfully, his friend, Colonel Harry Burwell, says, "Don't worry, I'll have him sent with me. He'll be a messenger. He won't see much action at all, hopefully." Yeah. But yeah, they were just like recruiting people right outside this building too. It's like, yeah, sign your name, go to war.
He didn't actually really do much for him. I mean, Heath Ledger's in the action like the whole time. I don't think there was a single moment where we saw him doing clerical work.
No, I think he runs
Oh,
one
actually,
letter.
no. He is. He has the dispatches.
You're right.
He's in the field, but he's still the person who carries the paperwork and files the paperwork and stuff. He just happens to also be in the. We didn't have enough soldiers to have someone in an office doing that. It wasn't like,
What a lazy war. It's like, I filed the paperwork.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting, but yeah, you make a good point.
Yeah. So I forgot what town this is though, but there's a lot of ships, British ships coming through. We get this is Cornwallis, right? I'm terrible.
Yeah, that's Cornwallis and Tavington.
Yes. And at this point, his sister-in-law,
It's Charleston. She has two homes. She has a home in Charleston, and she has one off of the. They mentioned the river a couple of times, but basically her plantation is off the river. She has, but that's like her
summer home.
She has an actual. Well, yeah, I guess the one in Charleston is basically like her summer home, and then she has the plantation one as well.
I gotcha. Yep. So after this scene, though, it says 2 years have passed. Just shows Gabriel fighting in this war, and obviously we're seeing the horrors of war and everything. I absolutely hate this way of fighting. Like, yep, you guys shoot first, okay? Then we shoot first, and then you guys shoot again. Gabriel,
gentleman's warfare is what this was called, based on chess. It was a holdover from the days of swords. It was a holdover from like lining up in battlefields and charging with swords and spears and stuff. It was it didn't evolve yet.
I know, it just sounds such a silly thing though. But obviously we use that against the British later on though with guerrilla warfare and stuff. So that worked out pretty well.
Well, we weren't the first. So the United States militia wasn't the first to utilize guerrilla warfare historically, but it's one of the most famous guerrilla warfare campaigns because there was no way in hell that they were going to win in a straight up man for man fight. It was impossible. You had to use the terrain. It was considered kind of a bad thing at that point too. It was considered like ungentlemanly. It was considered like almost like cheating. It was like spawn camping in a
I do not care at all. I am in war. My job is to kill you. I don't care how ungentlemanly the warfare is.
Wait, did this mark the end of gentlemanly warfare? Like,
no, it still existed through through parts of the 1800s as well. So, there was the Napoleonic Wars still used it, but it was kind of the starting point where wars began to change. At least in Europe. I mean, other areas of the world had used similar tactics for years, but it wasn't on large scale.
Okay. Huh, cool.
So here's General Washington as Gabriel's riding home, absolute freezing cold.
Nice.
Dealing with this stuff. And yeah, Benjamin has a lot of kids. Obviously, by the end of it, he has a lot less, but right now he's got a lot of kids. We don't even see
the dude had a lot of trauma. He was releasing his tensions in many ways.
Oh my gosh, a lot of tension.
Is that what killed her? Because he's a
I-
widow by this point.
I've always assumed they never state how she died. I always assumed it was in childbirth because the youngest one, Susan, won't speak. I always assumed it was in childbirth with her. Because I don't think that I don't think they ever say how she died. Maybe they do, and it's in like a line I've just never caught.
It's probably in the director's extended supercut. Probably there's probably a line right here. Like, remember
I
when
do
your mother
want to.
died
I
of
do want to bring up
tuberculosis while
one thing,
pregnant?
by the way. I do want to bring up one thing, by the way. This is kind of the John Williams forgotten, really good soundtrack, but you can hear in a lot of the battle sequences and stuff. There's stuff that's similar to Star Wars, specifically the like Revenge of the Sith. He reuses some of the types of music in that for the battle sequences. So it's very, very John Williams.
Oh, wow.
He didn't have
nobody credits him with this. I
No.
didn't even really realize it was him.
I didn't know that until you said it.
It pops out though. I mean, it's a great score. That's what I have as one of my highlights. It really moves you.
Oh, absolutely. So I forgot this one's name though, but
Is it Thomas?
We'll call him Thomas.
Yeah, this is Thomas.
Thomas is Roman. Yeah, Roman.
Yeah, it's Gabriel, Thomas, Nathaniel, and Samuel, or maybe it's just Nathan. It's either Nathan or Nathaniel and Samuel, and then there's Susan and two other girls.
Oh.
I can't remember.
We don't even use half of them, but yeah. So Thomas is rummaging around his father's old stuff, and he finds his tomahawk. He finds his red coat outfit. So yeah, Benjamin was with the British Army before, but he just has it locked away and just doesn't want to tell the stories of what happened, it seems. But at nighttime, he's looking outside of his window, and just as he said in the debate with the congressional people that, yeah, this is going to happen in your backyard. And here's Nathaniel, Samuel, and Tamuel, and they're all standing here.
The kid in the middle, he looks so familiar. Is he like in it?
He was in. Hold on, I'll look it up. He's in a lot of shit back then, but I know that there's one specific one that
I was looking at him. I could not figure out what it was.
He does have one of those faces, so yeah. But as they're watching the stuff that's going on, we see an unknown gunman coming up to the house. Before Benjamin shoots him, he realizes, it's Gabriel, wounded, carrying a letter. Yeah, so he's I forgot what the letter was, but it's of course very important that he gets
it's his dispatches.
Yes. Okay. And as they're discussing what's going on there, just outside their house. Before that, but it's important before that. I think Benjamin was lying to his kids because they could hear the gunfire. Like, it's like, miles away. Don't worry. And then 5 seconds later, it's right outside their house.
The thing everybody remembers him from. He's the kid from Jurassic Park 3. That's like the thing. It's he's also in Sixth Sense. He's one of like the douchebag kids. He was in a lot of things around this time.
Okay.
Why didn't he win an Oscar for Jurassic Park 3?
Yeah, he was actually surprisingly good in that movie, all things considered. But let's see, what's some other things he was in? Like I said, the Sixth Sense, The Rookie. He was in a couple of television shows. He was very active from like as a child actor until about 2009. Then he slowed down significantly.
Poor kid.
Yeah.
See you around. Like it's funny. So World War Joe, you're mentioning how it's like you thought they heard like the gunshots in the distance. I can't imagine how loud it is. I mean, those old muskets firing those lead balls. It's like, geez, I can't imagine how loud it is because I don't know. Are the muskets? Do they fire louder than a modern?
Or is it I'm not sure if they. I mean, modern guns are still very loud.
They are.
But also, there's some scenes later on though where they're shooting, and you'll see the people as they're shooting the muskets, they turn their face away. I don't know if they're turning their ears away, but it's an explosion in your face.
Well, what is it? The one that eventually goes on to be Gabriel's father-in-law for a very short period of time. He mentions because he fought in the French and Indian War with.
That's why he's deaf. Yeah,
that's why he's deaf. The things that were the loudest were the cannons, though. Those are
gosh.
Not only was a cannon loud when they fired it, it was loud when the ball hit the ground. Because really, what it is, it's to disrupt. It's not you don't aim for the people. You just disrupt everything. So
it's just psychologically terrifying too.
Yeah, I mean, if it hits you, it's gonna fuck you up.
Oh gosh, the leg
Yeah.
shot will go.
we
down
got
in
we
history,
got some.
man.
I think we got some clips of that later on though. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's Benjamin and Thomas are they just decide to survey the aftermath of it. And there's a lot of soldiers here. Yeah, this guy's missing a leg. It looks like. And yeah, Gabriel wakes up the next day, and they took in all the soldiers, British and American, and they're just tending to them. Then we get this really nice British officer that comes up. It's like, oh well, thank you so much for taking care of the Queen's, the King's guards and everything like that. And then we have the great, like I said, one of the my favorite villains of all time. Tabington shows up.
Oh man,
Jason Isaacs.
What a
funny.
career!
He's made a career out of being one of the biggest douchebags ever.
yeah.
I don't. It's funny because I feel like this movie sort of set him up to be Lucius Malfoy.
Absolutely.
This is like the progenitor to Lucius Malfoy.
But who's a bigger douche, Lucius or this guy?
This guy,
Lucius is an asshole, but like
He's not like
this guy specifically shoots children and kills everybody around him. Like Lucius just hates one person specifically. So it's like,
it's like what a Gen Z question. Like, who's a worse guy? The
I need to
literal
rewatch
terrorist
Harry
or a guy
Potter,
that's
too.
just mean?
I need to rewatch Harry Potter too. Okay.
So so Tabington shows up and he's like, "What the hell? Why are they taking care of these people?" And you see some I was gonna say some black people, but yeah, he looks over and goes, "Yeah, any slave that fights for Britain will be freed." And they're like, "But we're already free." And he says, "Well, then you get the luxury of fighting for the king."
Well, then you're free to fight for the king.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yes.
that's one of the reasons why the Continental Army ends up having to offer that, because it was being offered by the British Army, so they were going to lose their slaves. They were going to lose. Like they had to basically counteroffer it.
But where is that movie? Like, wouldn't that be a cool movie from the slave point of view, fighting for the British Army? Like, I don't know.
So we don't have that. I mean, there is Gods and Generals and Glory, which were the Civil War movies that kind of touch on that. But
that one makes sense at least. I never
remember...
really.
Oh, sorry. Continue.
No, after you. Son.
Oh, there was a Matthew McConaughey film where he fought some war with a bunch of slaves, I believe.
Free State of Jones.
Yeah, I remember enjoying it, but I don't remember what the.
All right. You're not
what the
slave
war
no
was.
more. That's the thing I love about slaves. I get older and they still work the fields.
Yikes.
Perfect. So yeah,
I was probably not. I haven't heard Matthew McConaughey speak in a while, so that was probably a bit off.
It's not as good. It's not as good as your Batman voice, but I give it credit.
Yeah, when we do a McConaughey movie, I'll make sure to listen to it a lot, so that way it's fresh. In my mind.
We'll have box office pick the McConaughey movie we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Mud.
So Tabington again is like, what the hell's going on here? And there's the letters that Gabriel had. And he's looking for who was this messenger, and Benjamin explains to him, like, well, technically you can't execute him because under the rules of warfare, he's a messenger, but obviously Tabington does not care at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yep, take him in. We're gonna have him hanged and hang down display. But I love this scene right here though, where Benjamin goes up to plead with him, and as you see right here, he just looks a little innocent and trying to plead his way, and then when Tabington points a gun at him. Then we just get stone faced.
Oh man,
that was a great.
Yeah,
it's like he knows what's gonna. He's like getting that tomahawk ready behind his back.
Gosh,
Yeah,
Mel Gibson, he has so much charm.
He's he's having PTSD moment right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, those are like two versions of himself, right? That was like his new humbler side that he's reawoken.
Exactly. Yep. So as Tabington's given his thing, like, oh, do you guys need a demonstration of what I can do to you? He's like, no demonstration needed. But of course, as they're taking Gabriel away, Thomas decides, I'm going to intervene. And
like a fucking moron. Like what? This is I fucking hate this scene, and it's because where was Gabriel going to run to?
He was going to hide in the slaves. What do you mean?
He was they're nowhere near an exit, and they're surrounded by redcoats. Like what the fuck? Pretty stupid.
It was an impassioned moment.
Exactly.
So
Daventon, of course, does not care at all.
I wish that History Bro was here because I think that the Green Dragoons actually historically wore green coats, not just green like parts of the coat.
Yeah.
But because we as Americans, just associate red coats and British, I think that so the only reason why they wore red, I know this. It has any guess why they wore red?
So they don't see the blood or something?
No.
No, I don't know.
No. Okay. How about you, bro?
I don't know. I was thinking maybe they'd want to stand out as like authority figures.
That's a little closer. So the reason why the British used red for their uniforms is because it's cheap. It's the cheapest dye you can have.
We were nowhere
They
close.
had such a large military that they needed to make so many uniforms that they used the cheapest dye. Historically, the most expensive dye is purple and the cheapest is red.
Oh,
I really hope there was a time where they made like 1,000 blue shirts or something. Like, oh, we're out of dye. Quick, let's just use the red one. Whatever we have to spare. This multicolored outfits and everything.
I feel like these guys could get away with so much if they just stole a bunch of those red coats and wore them the whole time, like Mel Gibson and his guys. It's like, man,
they basically do that, but
yeah, they do. But let's not jump ahead though. That's for later on. But yeah, so Jamis is still dying, and they decide, typical British thing. They just burn down every house they come to. They kill the people, burn the houses, shoot the livestock. They start shooting all the what's it called? The downed, injured soldiers and everything. Just absolute no mercy. This guy here, I feel a little bit bad for him later on, though, because as you can see right here, he does not agree with this whatsoever. But obviously, Tabington loves he loves his job pretty much.
Yeah, there's not many people who love what they do as much as Colonel Tabington.
Oh, absolutely.
So there is actually a deleted line. He gets his own nickname. So Mel Gibson gets the Ghost. He gets the Butcher. It doesn't make it into the theatrical cut though.
It's a very fitting nickname for him.
Yeah, they call him the Butcher. Yeah,
absolutely. See, they steal the slaves too. So this is just like the worst.
They're free people. They're not slaves.
So yeah, they stole. They killed the livestock, killed his son, burned his house down. Yeah, not a good day for him. So obviously he decides just no, I'm not dealing with this. Runs into his house, gets his old trusty tomahawk. Rambo's up here. Thomas and Steve. Here's some guns. we're gonna go out there. We're gonna get Gabriel back. Unlike the other guy that just decided, let me just try to free him right there. But yep, they go into the woods and they start setting up some of the. They set up the musket, so he's gonna fire one and run to another one.
This is probably my favorite scene in the movie. Actually, I love this scene.
I'm just trying to go a little slower here because I don't know when. I think the clip starts here. So should I stop sharing?
Let's see. Well, let's make sure that I get the right one.
Okay.
I do. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, there it is. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, here we go.
Should I stop sharing though?
No, it's over it, so you're good.
Okay, cool. I can't see anything, so.
Well, you have to hit play.
You have to play. I'm sorry. There we go.
Yeah, I don't think we can actually talk over this, even though they're sound. But...
Oh man! Oh, it hits every time.
Old reliable.
Shit. What a bunch of morons.
Elaborate on that.
I don't know. They just they are looking like they're asking for it.
Well, if anything's stupid, it's that they all fire at the exact same time with no discipline. They lose all of their discipline as soon.
I had to fast
this would be
forward.
Scary as shit, though. You don't know where this guy is.
Yeah.
This is at times 2 speed too.
Damn.
He does this forever.
Jeez.
I mean, I'd still be hitting him.
Man, the tomahawk. That's such I would love to see that story where he I mean, where that becomes his signature weapon.
Well,
Because that's
it's weird because
so
that
strange.
tomahawk has Captain like engraved on it. So I'm not sure if he stole it and had it like then embroidered, not embroidered,
Yeah.
sorry, embellished,
Yeah.
or if it's actually custom made for him. I don't really know. But one thing we didn't mention. So like some of the historical inaccuracies are so there is no Benjamin Martin historically. He's an amalgamation of multiple characters. Specifically, the one they took the most from is Francis Marion, who was called the Swamp Fox, who used very similar tactics to what he uses.
Mm.
Do we
Yeah.
know what he did though? Was
Say
it
again?
with the French and Indian War? Was one of them with it?
I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, this is why I originally tried to bring in History Bro. But I do recall a conversation when I was younger in school, and we talked about Francis Marion, and he was really the inspiration for the character.
I think one of the biggest downfalls of this film is it sets you up really strong with this scene. I mean, you and me both just said it, Dark Hour. I mean, this is one of our favorite scenes of the whole film. And you don't really see him like this again. Not like total primal beast mode. I wish we
Except
had
for maybe
more
the
of that.
very end of the movie, he kind of goes into it. But like here, he becomes a little bit at this moment. He loses control.
Deranged.
Yeah. And it's, as you see, his sons have no idea what to say to this.
By the way, is it just me, or is it really? Does anybody besides me? It's looking at Heath Ledger. It's just weird, just knowing that only about 8 years from after this, he's gonna die in real life.
Yeah, we have a behind-the-scenes picture of him playing Pokemon Yellow with one of the daughters.
Yeah,
it is kind
he
of.
was. I don't know how old he was here.
He was young at this point. This is like one of his
Man.
biggest things.
Yeah, this is a really touching film with him. Every time I see this, it's like, damn, like, where is he? We need him, man.
Just think of all the things we could have gotten out of him afterwards.
Yeah,
especially after winning an Oscar. But yep, so they returned back home. The kids did a terrible job putting the fire out. But father shows up covered head to toe in blood. And this is very important for later on, though. We get Thomas's little action figures that Benjamin ends up melting. Soldiers. Yep, his little soldiers he was painting earlier, and
that's literally a dragoon.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like one.
Yeah, it's one of the dragoons.
That's crazy.
The first Warhammer hobbyist back then.
So the one thing, so there is actually he does paint them both colors, Thomas. Whenever they show him making bullets, like the muskets balls out of them, he always is melting a red coat specifically.
Really?
They never show him they never show him melting one of the ones that's painted to be like a colonial soldier.
Oh, that's interesting. I had no idea. But after they bury him, we go to Taventon's camp, and this was the dude I think was shot as Mel Gibson was knocking the gun away. And
he's the only one that survived.
Yeah,
out of it.
They're like, how many legions were there? It's like, no, it was just one dude.
He looks pretty good for being shot like directly in the chest.
Yeah, he gets shot. Good points. But then we have a defector. I forgot this dude's name because I'm terrible with names. What are we gonna call him, boys?
Todd. Oh, that's a man called Jane. That's what that is.
A man called Jane.
Yeah,
we'll just call him Jane. So Jane,
he's the hero of Canton. That's what he is.
So Jane over here, Taventon's talking to him. He's an American, but of course believes in everything British. And he's like, yes, everyone that opposes Queen and Country should be burned at the stake and whatever. So he's like, oh, perfect. I'll bring you along. And yeah, so obviously since the Martin house is burned down, they go to Charlotte's second summer home. And we see this pendulum, whatever it's called.
Pendant?
Pendant. That's the word.
Pendulum is
it's been a long day. Sorry. So this really nice pendant is belonged to Benjamin's deceased wife. Ironically, I really hope he ends up with it at the end, though. But we'll see what happens later on to it. So he's sitting with Charlotte.
He's over here checking out this chair now. He's like, "Hey, let's." So
the next day, Ben, of course, he has to now go to war. Though, of course, war has come home. He can't avoid this anymore. There's no such thing as being a pacifist now. So he says goodbye to the first son. Of course, gives him the pat on the head. Second child gets the customary handshake. and then gets a word out of his youngest daughter, but of course she says nothing this entire time.
Yeah, she's just kind of. That's why I'm pretty certain. My guess is that the mother died during childbirth.
That's a good guess. How do you guys feel about like Mel Gibson with a ponytail?
Oh,
I mean, it's historically accurate.
That's the one thing that's historically accurate about this movie. The ponytail.
Nice.
It's like a Quentin Tarantino movie. It's like we got to have feet in it. So Benjamin and Gabriel both ride off in different directions to go start recruiting some people, but they both end up at the same house. So where again, this is happening literally in someone's backyard. This massive battle. So, yep, they take the customary, you shoot first, and then we'll shoot afterwards. And I don't know, it must take a special kind of person just to stand there and just take this. I don't know, like this dude in the middle is not flinching whatsoever.
Gosh.
And
They're
Benjamin's
just, big targets, literally.
Yeah, giant red targets. So Benjamin's talking with Gabriel about the tactics of it. He disagrees with some of it. I forgot if he was calling out Henry, whatever his name is, but he was talking about how he doesn't like this at all, though, as he shouldn't.
Yeah.
But we get Cornwallis here.
That's eye-opening right there. It's like, this is as dumb as it gets.
Yes, it is. Yeah, so Cornwallis and Tabington are celebrating the victory of it, and then we go to Amputation Alley, where after the aftermath of it, they just saw the legs off like nothing.
Gosh.
Yeah, this dude is.
Yep, they used to what they just used to do is just give you a bottle of whiskey, tell you to drink 3/4 of it, and use the remainder to disinfect the tools and stuff. That was pretty much what it was.
I don't know. I still haven't taken a drink in my entire life. I don't think 2/3 of any bottle would stop me from realizing my legs got cut off.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Well, you had to pass out. That was the thing, is you needed they needed you to pass out, and so they would get like a 1.5 liter bottle of whiskey and have you drink basically the whole thing.
Wow. Imagine whiskey suppliers back then. They were just raking in dough.
This is a 1.5 liter bottle of tequila, and so like imagine drinking like from there down.
Is that what got you through Ironheart? But this seems very important because Gabriel picks up this discarded, destroyed American flag, and he spends the entire movie building this, repairing this thing. So Benjamin shows up. He's talking with his friend Henry. They're going over battle plans and everything, and then we meet the French guy, who has a very, really big vendetta against the British, which we learn later on, though. But yeah, so they're talking about the French army is they're on their way or something, but taking their sweet ass French time. I don't, isn't that kind of crazy that you got to cross an entire ocean? It's like you don't even know if they all died at sea at this point.
10,000 men, right?
So they say 10,000, and I think it was there was a bunch of ships too that they're gonna. So like that's a huge. I mean, by modern standards, that's nothing. 10,000. Yeah. The 10,000 for a battalion. That would do nothing for a modern war because people die at a much quicker. It depends. Like in World War II, that would be nothing. Like something that's a little bit more like this in the Middle East, that would probably last a while.
Isn't that kind of crazy that 10,000 isn't enough, like a big number? But it's more like, wow, 10,000 dudes are dead.
Yeah,
that's a big number.
Wait, so I don't get it. Why did the French get involved?
Because they hate the British. The British and the French have a historic rivalry. They fought for 100 years over basically barely anything. It was like small little areas of land in North France that they fought over.
Okay, I got you.
And that's it. They fought over 100 years ago about something the descendants already kept forgetting, so they kept fighting.
Yeah. But what it was the British the British and the French have a lot of common history with one another. Kings that traveled, and it slowly evolved into like England for a long time was like very jealous of France. And then they became the better ones eventually because of their isolation from the rest of Europe. They were away from a lot of the wars, especially the ones that were going on the mainland of Europe. And the rest of those countries, as they slowly became like knocked down, England built up.
Okay. Oh, really interesting. Okay.
So Gabriel was put in Benjamin's army, and as we're doing this, so we get a nice little parallel of Cornwallis also looking at battle plans and figuring out what his next move is. Then we come to a very, very lovely town. There's a very beautiful church that is currently not on fire. And we got a couple of dudes hanging by the neck outside.
Yeah, they're just hanging out.
Yeah, why do they
You know.
just? Why is that the case? I mean, this is a normal little town, and they're just dangling casually.
I mean, I understand they were killed, but it's like,
Well, they were
town
hung
people-
for treason, and everybody else was just like, well, that's our decorations now.
like, I guess we'll just go about our day with this stuff.
Oh,
So
Like, it's like, well, it's almost October anyway. Let's just leave it there. It's-
yes, exactly.
Gosh, seasonal.
So in this church, they're of course discussing what the hell to do here. Gabriel shows up to try to recruit people. I forgot her name. We're gonna what should we call her, boys? Anne? I think her name is Anne. We're gonna call her.
She's
Thanks,
Anne.
Anne, yeah.
Yeah. So she gives this, empowering speech about like, you men, you gotta stand up for your liberty.
You men and your balls,
Like,
how dare you?
Yeah, it's great when you're not the one fighting, but when
Yeah.
you gotta fight, it's entirely different. So yeah, she gives this very lovely speech and just shames the hell out of these guys. But Gabriel and Anne have been childhood friends. He's been pranking her all of her life. This is her father right now, as Dark Hour mentioned before, who he went deaf from being in the shooting all those muskets off. He's like, hey, can I write to Anne? And he's like, you want to what with Anne? He's like, oh, father, write to me. He's like, oh,
Right.
yes,
Right.
okay.
The better one is later when he goes, I've come to call on Anne. Of course you call yourself Anne. That's my favorite one. That one, he knows what he said. He's just fucking with him.
What a
This one, I
troll.
don't think he actually understood him.
No, he doesn't know what's going on right now. Yes. But even the the priest takes his wig off and puts on an awesome little badass hat. It's like, yeah, well, sometimes the shepherd has to tend to his flock. It's like, so yeah, everyone's going to this war.
I didn't imagine he'd be kind of a crucial member too. I mean, he stuck around for a long time.
He lasted a long time in this thing. Of
Yeah.
course, historically accurate, of course. So but yeah, so Benjamin and Frenchie are still out there recruiting people. I forgot his
By the way, I
what-
tried to get Uninspired to come on to be our French representative for this one, and he's too busy clubbing in some town somewhere in France. So
Ooh.
priorities, clearly.
priorities, having a good time.
Unbelievable. So speaking of clubs, they go to a bar, and he's like, "How do you know this is the right bar?" And Benjamin says, "God save the Queen," and then they just all
Or God
pull
save
out
the
a-
king.
Oh, really?
Oh,
All
my
hail
mistake.
King George. It was not,
Wait,
not the queen at this point.
Wait,
It
did
was
they
King
have a? So when did they get a queen?
Victorian era was when it became more standard for it to be a queen.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
Um,
they realize they're in the right bar because everyone hates the king. So yeah, they do a nice little.
These would be
recruitment.
mostly like most of these people would actually probably speak German because that was pretty common. It was like German mercenaries were pretty common in that time.
Oh.
I think we should have got a lot more out of some of these dudes. Look
Hessian
rough.
mercenaries. Say again, what was that?
I say some of these dudes look rough, so I would have kind of liked to see a lot more of these guys too.
I was trying to figure out what their past was because obviously a lot of these guys were experienced.
Some of them fought in the French and Indian War. Other ones are just, like I said, they're just mercenaries that have taken up living here. Probably also fought in the French and Indian War, by the way.
Yeah.
Mercenary corps used to be pretty common back then. It would be like 1,000 guys who were former soldiers of a country that didn't exist anymore would get together and kind of just sell themselves out for whatever.
Oh, okay. So then we get this guy here, and I forgot his name, of course, and he's
He's
is a
introduced
slave.
in a particular way.
yes. So, exactly. Then we get this lovely little child here who
I would have hired him. I mean, come
I
on,
mean,
he doesn't have
it-
a soul.
exactly. Damn. I was gonna say it'd be a shame if something terrible happened to him later on, though. But yeah, he does.
Oh.
His father doesn't let him sign up, of course. though.
John Billings. John
I
Billings is
love
his
him.
name. I love his little chuckle he does whenever something. He's like,
He's like one of those. He's one of those characters that doesn't really do much in this film, but he has just this passive charm that you just
So-
don't want anything to happen to him.
I know, right?
Oh, catch you later, Proctophile. Sorry,
Aw.
we have a lot of slides
Yeah,
for this movie, so I'm
Proctophile.
trying not to highlight too much of the chat today. We have like almost 400 slides for this
Like,
movie.
how do you do that? That's insane.
Make 400 slides.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This movie could not be told in anything less.
That's true. That's true.
So John Billings fought along. He's a former soldier that fought with uh, Benjamin. They have a history together. They have a shared history.
Okay.
So they like I said, this dude on the left, we get nothing out of him, but he looks like he's
gross.
seen some shit. Exactly. So they have this really awesome swamp town that they have, and as you said before, which I didn't even realize, he's just smelting
Black
down
Swamp. Yeah, it's called the Black Swamp, and it's this is basically a gutted out, destroyed Spanish mission.
It just looks perfect. Everything about it.
It's a good. Honestly, it's a great set. Like they did a good job.
Cool.
It's a fantastic set, and this is a great. This is actually is a really good place to take up this kind of position because it's hard for anybody to get anywhere in there. There's trees, it's swamp water. It's hard to get through. You have a full 360-degree viewing point. You can, and there's places to hide in there. It's actually and no one would think that anyone would be chilling out there. So it's a really good spot to take up your fort, so to say.
Well, I read that, one of the few things that this film did right, like historically, accurately, was that they filmed on a lot of the actual sites. And I'm wondering if this was
makes sense.
Like one of those sites, if this was
makes sense. I mean, it's being made in America, and if you can get to those places, I would use them.
Absolutely.
That's cool. I love
I know that in New Jersey, we have one of our state parks is the Monmouth Battleground, which is a preserved, it's where the Battle of Monmouth occurred. They do mention several. They mentioned Morristown and Camden at one point, which are both New Jersey places in New Jersey that battles took place. So
cool.
Okay. So Benjamin is smelting down these.
That is a fantastic
yes,
line. Holy shit, that's a good one.
The problem is,
as Mr. Brown would say, "Look at that."
Yeah, so they're it's just a nice little montage here of them practicing, them just slaughtering redcoats and everything.
Oh yeah,
they're getting better at it. They're using fire, a dragon's breath ammunition. They're just blowing the hell out of these things. So yeah, Tavington's really pissed off about this because obviously Benjamin's making a dent in it.
And Cornwallis isn't particularly happy either.
Oh yeah, all this. Yep. So he puts a nice little reward for him, calling him the Ghost by the order of King George. So yeah,
I want somebody to make that by order of King Jaffe Joffer. I would love that.
So then we cut to this next.
I guarantee you that Brawler has no idea what the fuck I just referenced.
No idea. It sounded silly.
Coming to America.
I need to see that too. Eddie Murphy, right?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Dude, you got to make a list one day of all the movies you got to see in his Come On.
I mean, if he started watching all of the movies that that people tell him to, he would never leave that room ever.
That sounds fun.
It's all consuming.
Yeah. So
he'll leave when he's 57. He'll be like, I finally can go and live my life.
It's like, hey, Black Adam just came out. What? So then we get this fight scene here where they're just taking down the British, guerrilla warfare and stuff, but they kind of surrender, and I really don't think it counts. And they're like, wait a second, this is murder. You can't do this. These men have surrendered. But it's like, you can't just run and then go, hey, I surrender after I tried to shoot you. I don't think it counts like that.
Also, on top of that, they never actually get the word surrender out. Every time someone's about to say we surrender, they shoot him in the face. So it
doesn't count.
Yeah, so then
kind of didn't hear it.
5 seconds.
Sorry, the musket was really loud. I can't hear you. It's like that scene in Saving Private Ryan. Man. It's like that scene in Saving Private Ryan where they don't understand the guys who are speaking Czech or whatever, and they're like, "Look, I watched for supper."
I watched. So Benjamin realized, like, wait a second, maybe we need to be a little kinder. We can't just slaughter people. But Frenchie's like, hey, when the British
that's the best French I've ever heard in my life. Something pussy.
But apparently his family their ship was blowing up.
They slaughtered them alive. I was off 200 yards out as I saw them burn to death.
So obviously this dude has a vendetta as well. But yeah, they get
that's something.
I
That's
was
something
sipping
love about-
wine as my family burned in a boat.
That's something I love about this movie is I think we get so many different characters with different sets of morality, and I love the battles between each other, trying to figure out what's right or not. And you really can't exactly tell who's exactly in the command here and the moral compass.
In the end, no one is. That's a sad
Well, honestly,
part.
that's probably the most accurate thing about war. You know, a lot of people fight it for different reasons. There are, you have your people who get conscripted, obviously, and they're just fighting because they have to. Then you have the people who have a cause, the American Revolution was actually a very unique in that sense. Is there was rich people who were fighting because they didn't want to pay money, and then a lot of people were gaslit into this liberty idea. This thing that the country was born from was this weird half truth. It was, like, what are we fighting for? Liberty. What do we not want it? No taxes. It was very weird. And so there are people who are fighting for different causes. And really the French guy, I forget his name, Jean something or other.
Philippe.
Is it Jean Lou?
Yeah, it's something. It's
I
John
don't
something. Gene over here. He's really just hired by the Continental Army to train militia. That's really all. I mean, he has like a personal vendetta against the British, and it comes out in moments. He's very good at keeping it under the surface, but it bubbles up from time to time.
Absolutely. Yep. So as they're doing this, there's a pair of dogs on this cart. This is actually Cornwallis's personal cart with all of his stuff on it.
Jupiter and Mars were their names.
Oh, wow. I forgot about
Essential information.
Oh, I've seen the movie a lot. I didn't have to rewatch it, but I did.
Yes. So they bring all the stuff back to Camp Kick-Ass here as Gabriel is just sewing this thing up. Then we get Cornwallis's party, which I don't know how you do this landscaping. It's like rolling hills that are perfectly symmetrical and everything.
Also, there was no such thing as a gas-powered lawnmower yet. Yeah, how the hell did they keep this?
Well, they got Benjamin suits they stole, so and it's Cornwallis.
I do. This is my favorite Cornwallis scene because he's just complaining. It's like the jacket does not look any different than anything anybody else is wearing, but he's like, it's a horse blanket. It's a rag.
It looks exactly. I mean, they got the guy brushing it with the horse hair, brushing
his like subordinate is like, well, I took it out in the back and I added some of this. He's like, it's a piece of shit, basically.
Execute that man, burn his family. Yes. So as that's going on, we see our brave troops. They're wearing red coat outfits. They they sabotage this ship. He's like, oh yeah, you look good. He's like, oh, it smells like a dead man.
Yeah, it stinks. Well, there was a dead man in it.
So as the ship blows up, of course the people are like, oh wow, it's
fireworks.
Tavington just
Tavington has the greatest reaction ever. Just downs his drink. He's just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Like, I'll deal with them in the morning. But
he's just like,
just
Dark
so they
Hour,
ride
send
back.
the scene.
Yeah. So they ride back to I forgot. I'm sorry. What's this place?
I haven't had enough tequila lately.
Yep. So they ride back here. This is like, I guess what they're like. They're home away from home, safe haven, and stuff like that.
I forget. They say the name of the village, but I don't remember off the top of my head all of a sudden. But this is essentially where this is their unofficial suppliers. Basically, this is where Anne's family lives, and that's where they're getting their stuff. It's a town that's pretty close to the Black Forest, the Black Swamp.
I almost feel like it's a dumb idea using this town with people, because what happens if they have to answer questions and the British show up or something? Like, wouldn't you want to have these people away from everything? But yeah, so Benjamin prays at the church at night, and Thomas is sewn into a sleep sack because back then you couldn't
bundling bag.
Yes, you couldn't sleep over. You had to get bundled up though. And this part I don't understand, because remember I mentioned earlier that Gabriel used to put ink in her tea or something. It's like, wouldn't this poison you?
No, ink in small quantities isn't going to poison you.
I don't know. It looks like there's a lot of ink in his teeth. And he's father's.
What are these screenshots, man? Look at that face.
There's a reason why there's 400 shots here. I could not tell the story.
He has.
I
They
love
they have
those.
a great exchange, by the way, where she's like, "Don't worry, I sew better than my mother," and he's like, "I hope so."
Yeah.
So the next day, they see the notice of if you fight for the Continental, year of service, if you're a slave, you're free. And this guy's like, "What are you gonna do with freedom?" And of course, we get him just realizing, okay, I only have a few more months, and I could be a free man. Because, like you said,
I
the
like
British were doing this.
I like to think my headcanon in this moment is that when he says, "What are you going to do with freedom?" and he's clearly having this like thought process here, he's thinking of Braveheart, freedom.
Yep. Oh, so he's Gabriel's saying goodbye to Anne, and then shows later on that day they stop a British caravan.
Which is really just a trap.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
As Tavington and the British show up.
Damn.
So they have a nice little gun exchange. The horsemen come in there, but oh no, our boys are captured.
Oh,
they are
man.
not slaughtered instantly, unlike the Americans with their prisoners.
Was that
But they go-
because the general told him he wanted him to behave himself? Had that happened before?
I don't
this
remember if that's where we're at right this minute, but so Cornwallis is not happy with Tavington throughout the movie because Tavington is essentially breaking the rules of war over and over and over again.
How do you know if there's no people to testify? They're all dead.
Well, sometimes there's people who survive.
Yep.
And Cornwallis looks at that as a reflection upon him. And Tavington's like, well, I don't give a fuck. But he starts to play a little bit of ball.
Yeah.
Later on, he kind of tells him, like, don't worry, you can do whatever the hell you want. Just don't let people know that I told you that. That hasn't happened yet.
Keep my name out of it. So back at the little
Warren Collis was the one who told him that one. Definitely, it was Warren Collis, not Cornwallis.
Yep. So they're like, okay, who survived? There's very few left of them, but then they start straggling in, which is good though because these are the two guys that were having the conversation of what will you do with freedom. So even like the little moments like this kind of pay in later on in the story. But at at Cornwallis's place though, they're getting the gallows ready to hang all these prisoners. But Benjamin shows up, waving a white flag. He's ready to negotiate with Cornwallis. Of course, this chair, just like in the beginning of the movie, he has to see how the hell does he do it?
I like how it like. I would have loved if they would have been like, I don't know if he would have asked Cornwallis, like, why does this chair work? He's like, I don't know. I just bought the thing. I don't.
Yeah,
he has no clue.
I have the people build it for me. Yeah, but I love this scene right here though because it does have a amount of respect between them. I think one of the first things Benjamin says
I want
is,
to highlight a comment here. Hold on. This was, what if there was? You said, what if there was no one there to testify? Yes, this is the crisis of due process. If there's no one left to testify, how can you get in trouble?
Exactly. So Benjamin and Wallace have a nice spirited conversation about the rules of warfare. Obviously, like you said before, Cornwallis doesn't agree with certain things that Tavington has done, but he still has to, I guess, kind of own up to it in a way. And Benjamin explains, like, oh, well, I'm here for a prisoner exchange. And Wallace says, I don't have any prisoners. I have traitors of the British Empire that are all going to be executed. And Benjamin tells, like, oh, well, then, 12 of your guys have to die because I have 12 captives. Man. And, they refuse to give me their names and ranks, but here's a list of all of them. One of them called me a cheeky fellow. So, I guess we're going to have to make a nice little prisoner exchange here. But as that's happening, Tavington realizes, like, what the hell's going on here? This is the ghost. You can't just let this man leave. And he tries to goad him into a battle by telling him, like, oh, is your son dead? And, I don't normally like what I do, but sometimes I forgot the way he worded it. Like, sometimes
he's like, what the fuck's the line? I know what you're talking about. He's like,
at the very end of it, before he tells him I'm going to kill you.
Basically, it's essentially like a
Like I hate
a
Mondays, but
variation of, like,
sometimes it gets good.
sometimes business and pleasure cross over with one another.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but this dude is
He
just
doesn't say that's not the
pure
actual line, but that's essentially what he says.
No, that sounds about right. Like I said, this guy is just absolute pure evil. Benjamin tells him, before this war's over, I'm going to kill you. And as Benjamin's leaving, he whistles, and Juno and Mars decide to follow him too. So steals Cornwallis's dogs on his way out.
Man.
But actually, there are no soldiers. They're all just scarecrows.
I love this.
Yeah.
That whole sequence is one of my favorites in the whole film. And I love just seeing Mel Gibson's patience. I think that's such an admirable quality, being able to be patient and wait for the right moment because it's not here yet.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, so Cornwallis is now embarrassed. He's pissed off. He's losing this war. So he tells Tabington, you could kind of just do whatever. Just keep my name out of it. Don't say, just pretty much to say you don't know me. And he tells him, like, if I do this, I'll never be able to return to England. But tell me about Ohio. So I think in his mind, does he think he's going to get an entire state? Which I mean,
no. So that's a deleted scene that's in the extended edition. Earlier on, Cornwallis has a whole sequence where he's showing the other general the map of how everything's going to be distributed after the war. And essentially, since he's a lord and he's won multiple wars for the king, he's basically going to become, a governor of an extremely large area that's in the Ohio Valley. And so he's gonna. That's that's the reason why Cornwallis, when he goes, "Tell me about Ohio," he reacts like really, because he's basically Tabington's basically telling me, like, well, you're gonna give me some of your land. They took it out. It's out of context. You might not notice it, but it's definitely he was gonna get huge tracts of land.
Oh wow.
I mean, if he did have a very important part in winning the war, you got to award him with something. Yeah. I mean, like I said, you can't go back to England after he does what he does. What do we name this guy again? Jameis?
He's Jane Cobb. He's
Jane
the hero.
Cobb. Okay. Yeah, so he wakes up Jane and tells him, like, hey, he explains where the coordinates are. Like, do you know where these people live? And
like, of course. Of course I know.
Like, yeah, of course. I could tell you everything about him. I could tell you his boot size. Like, but does he have family over there?
It's like, I would have loved if the line was like, well, that's not relevant. I don't give a shit how big his foot is.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that I feel like Tabington would have said. He's like, I don't care about that. It's like,
that'll be the extent.
Could I kill his family? And it's like,
I guess.
I mean, I can tell you his kid's boot size. I don't know about.
Yeah. So so he gives up where the location of Charlotte's summer home is, and Tabington and the boys show up. Obviously, they all thankfully escape, because I cannot imagine what he would have done to all these people. He probably would have paraded them around the colonies for days.
What is it? His son Nathan, earlier on, when they're before the Benjamin joins the war, he's like sitting around. He's like, they'll probably kill all of us men, and God do God knows what. Like, he's like fucked up. Like, he's definitely
back then it was fake to him, because it was just, like, oh, war, it'll never happen. But now it's, oh shit, it's actually at my doorstep.
They do a really good job of giving all the children their own personalities, despite them being mostly children, like, mostly very young actors. Like, Nathan's very much like a smart ass and does says things like that, whereas what is it? Samuel is like a nervous crybaby. Gabriel has like this real sense of honor and duty. Thomas had like delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
Well, that's something I also respect about this film, and it makes me wonder, like, were all children like treated like with so much responsibility? Because obviously these sons, they're young, they're like 9 years old, and they're given so much responsibility here. So I really am curious about, like, as a period piece during this time, if kids were given just way more responsibilities than now.
Yes, they were. They were. A lot of times you were working the land by the time you were like 9 or 10. Like, they would give you limited responsibilities. It wasn't like you had to go out and do a crazy amount because you could fuck it up. But for the most part, one of the reasons why he has so many kids is farmers had a lot of kids because it was just help them continue farming.
Mm.
And I joked about it, but that's really the reason why farmers have a shit ton of kids. And there's some things that are historically inaccurate about this, like the later on the sister is doing stuff in public that the sister-in-law is doing stuff in public that because of her status would have been seen as crass and below her. But for when it comes to like the fact that they actually show them working the land, and he even says like, "Oh yeah, did you finish planting that?" They're like, "We got half of it done." He said something along the lines of like, "Well, yeah, those swimming breaks keep cutting into our time, don't they?"
Yeah.
Like he knows that they're not trying as hard as they can, but that's because they're kids.
I mean,
Well, it's interesting. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, forget the farming part. Benjamin walked out with a pair of muskets and said, "Okay, boys, we're gonna go murder some people."
And
Like, chores
did
can
all right.
wait.
They did all right. They
I mean,
did the job.
Does that stay with them after? Like, was this the first time they've ever killed someone before? I'm wondering.
I think one of them said so. Yeah.
It was. Samuel says, no, sorry, Nathan says, "I can't believe I killed those people." And then like he's like, "Oh, it's I asked you to do that." He's like, "I liked it." Like he's like literally, he's like the fucked up kid.
Well, this is what Mel Gibson was worried about early on, that this would alter the futures for his children. And here you are, his son loves killing people now, and the daughters have been witnessing their family torn apart. It's interesting just seeing the different the reaps of what's been sown here.
Absolutely. Yep. So of course, in typical British fashion, they set fire to the house. But don't worry, like I said, they got everyone out. They end up at
Not the slave plantation.
Not the slave plantation, but looks like they all escaped. So that's good. Things are looking up for Benjamin again. And I'm sorry. Then they go back to, of course, their wilderness place and start discussing plans. But as it's happening, they realize, oh no, Tabington's burning down people's houses. So they go to I forgot the dude's name as usual. But
this is John Billings.
John Billingsley, yep, and his son did not make it.
I love the implication that his son tried to fight with this fake pistol. Just like out there, like bang, bang, bang. Like that's
what do you mean? Tabington planted the gun on him afterwards.
Oh yeah, that's true. He was like, he has the authorities. He was like, he pulled it on me. I swear, I had no.
Tell Cord Wallace, I was fear for my life.
Fear for my life. It was so well made. It was so realistic looking.
So the preacher is telling him, just now's not the time for anger. Now's the time for mourning. But Billingsley has other plans.
Billings,
she's trying to stop him.
I love how they always go, no.
Yeah, and he just.
This was probably for me. This was one of the most tragic moments in the whole film because I was really rooting for this guy.
It was so fast too. It's like, oh, my family's dead. Instant headshots. Like he just acted just purely on instinct at that moment.
So one thing I will say that's highly unrealistic about this movie, that he wouldn't have missed himself there. Don't get me wrong. That was a sure. But the guns are way too accurate in this movie. Like Tabington at one point with a pistol picks off a dude from like 90 yards. Like
he knows
like
what he's doing.
Boom, and like picks a dude like. The muskets they barely ever miss when they fire. And I don't care how good of a marksman you are with a musket. Part of the problem is that musket balls were never evenly, because they would melt them down, put them in a thing, and they were never evenly. They weren't rifled or anything. They were just a metal ball. So sides would be a little heavier than the other, or one side would be rough. So when it left the musket, it wouldn't have the same trajectory every time. It wasn't a perfectly like straight shot. That's one of the reasons why you shot into a group. You hope to hit one of those people. But in this movie, they pick people off pretty easily. I get it's for cinematic purposes, but it's one thing that's always bothered me.
I would really hate it if Tabington was shooting. He was just missing everyone wide left. That would just be the most defeated thing.
This particular question from Caleb Wright, top 10 Cobra Kai characters. I don't know if I can. That's naming the whole cast practically.
Yeah, literally.
I'll say that my favorites. I did recently meet the guy who played Mike Barnes. Awesome dude. I'm actually in talks with getting him on the channel for an interview. He has awesome hot sauce too, by the way. He's Mike Barnes, great. Is a great dude. Obviously, Johnny. I liked Hawk. Pretty much everybody but the LaRusso family. I just take them out. That's got my top 10.
You don't like Daniel's wife?
Oh, she's hot, but you know, like his kids are shitheads, and his cousin is hilarious. That guy is Brett Ernst. He's a great comedian. I think he's from New Jersey, actually.
So back at the slave camp, they are they're taking some time off. Benjamin said, "Go to your families, make sure everyone's safe. We'll reconvene in a couple days." And I think at this point, Gabriel lied to him and told him that she's speaking now. I think so. He was
no, she does. No, she does speak to him. She does speak to Gabriel.
No, she speaks to Gabriel, but she. Oh, yeah. Yes, you're right.
He lies about what she said. He
Yes.
says he's like, oh, you know, she misses you and she can't wait till you get back. But really, like, she said something along the lines of like, I don't want him to come back. I don't want to see him.
Yeah, she just books it as soon as she sees him. I mean, that's a heartbreaking moment right there. This movie does have a lot of emotional moments that are not war related, just little things like that. And later on, of course, though. But yeah, he's talking to Gabriel about these things, and they decide now's the perfect time to get married.
I'll go back to that. That's still. I love. This is the weirdest. This is the wedding equivalency of that meme picture with the couch. If you know what I'm talking about.
Oh God! Why did your brain go there?
Because when I was rewatching it, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, this is the weirdest looking wedding ever. It's like you have all the white people for the most part are sitting down, and there's just a bunch of former and like freed slaves. Just like the one on the right there, if you look to the palm tree to the right of him there, she's an extra who was not told what the situation was because she's standing in like modern black girl stance.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got to cover those things up too.
You see what I mean? Like the rest
right.
of them are all like kind of like doing like the hunch over, like I'm exhausted. She's just like,
It's like, guess I gotta pick up after them afterwards too.
Oh gosh, you know, Joe, you make a good point. Like, I like that you said that the film is like it's full of like little moments that are like non-war related that are kind of heartfelt, and that's kind of what gives. That's what gives me a lot of love for this movie is just the small stuff that adds up, like what we're gonna see with is it Susan? Like what we're gonna see with her soon. That just I love that.
That's such a very, very awesome moment too. Yeah, so Benjamin decides to give Anne the pendant.
Pendant. It's a pendant of the North Star.
I'm doing my best. I'm trying to read off my phone. So yeah, so he gives the pendant that was with his deceased wife. Hopefully nothing happens to her. Ooh. And he gets a little couple of moments with Charlotte. And Charlotte tries to say goodbye to his daughter, but of course she still doesn't want to talk. And as she's riding, and as she's riding away, she chases after him and kind of begs him to stay and everything. He's like, I got murdering to do. Sorry, kid.
Whoa, we got to hit a timeout. Jacob WD-40 was just sent.
Whoa,
a huge super chat, so we will not be holding off on this. So I know why he sent this, by the way. Sorry for $50. Sorry I missed the last stream. Now take this bribe and be happy belated for 4th of July. America, fuck yeah. Walmart, fuck yeah. The Gap, fuck yeah. Sorry. Making our way to save the motherfucking day, yeah. So that wasn't your fault, Jacob. That was partially my fault. It was mostly my fault, I should say. I didn't keep you up to date as much. I will get you in on a different one in the near future. He was supposed to be a fan guest for Planet Hulk, and I'm sorry that I didn't remind him that the cartoon stuff is on Saturday mornings, and that was my fault. Oh. But thank you so much for your generous bribe, as you called it.
$50 American dollars.
$50 America dollars. Yeah. Those dollars speak American.
Sorry. Well, then they go back, of course, to their encampment where they discuss more plans. But back at the town, Taventon decides to show up and round them up and to put him in the church and tell them, hey, if you don't tell me where he is, I'm going to kill every one of you. And one guy finally stands up and says, "Oh, they're at this place. You don't have to do all this stuff." But I do wonder in a situation like this, I think I would have been the first to speak up and just lie to them. Like, how is he gonna know?
I mean, yeah,
because obviously
also,
they're all
like,
keeping their mouth shut, and when he talks, they're like, "Hey, you shut up." He's like, I don't want to die here." But it's like, why don't you just lie?
to this day, I've never been able to quite figure out how like churches tend to have internal like ways to get out and like go into other rooms and stuff that are like below. I mean, maybe it was because it wasn't it's such a small town, but usually there's like a storage cellar that's inside of them. They could have probably got a few people out of here.
I don't think the information he coughs up makes that much of a difference either in the future. Do you think so?
Probably not. Taventon just wanted to do this.
No, because they never attack the
camp.
The camp.
Yeah,
so
I thought that would lead to that, but no, they never found it.
No,
well,
like,
from this point, it just they don't. Yeah, I never thought about that. They never attacked the camp. He just that's a good point.
He looked at it. It's like I don't want to get my boots dirty in this thing. The alligators everywhere.
Have you seen my red? Have you seen how nice my red coat with green trim?
Yeah.
There's alligators in here.
Yeah. So he closes the doors, gives a speech about like, oh, I guess you have to make your peace with God at this point.
Jacob WD-40 is for $10 still not, because he is still not happy enough with what he said. So we will. Also, my defense, the Two Hoes Discord server, it said Sunday. I updated the unfortunately I forgot to update that. I updated the group chat, and here's another bribe, as I'll be missing this stream, but I'll catch the unlisted once it's not unlisted. I'd leave them on this channel now, so you don't gotta. It's not unlisted anymore. Once my internet is not held together by chewing gum. I don't know where you are, but honestly, my internet's been real shit lately too. I don't know, and I live in a major metropolitan area, so mine's usually pretty good. So if you're in a more rural area, I feel bad for people right now. I don't know what happened with someone's attacking all the internets out there. The interwebs are under attack. But once again, thank you so much, Jacob. And like I said, I do actually have in September, I'm doing a fan appreciation day similar to so like obviously when I got my start was in a September almost 3 years ago on Drinker's channel. So it'd be, I want to kind of try and obviously I don't have as big of a reach as him, but I want to try and do something similar for people who don't get a chance to do this kind of thing. So
that's cool, man. Wow, 3 good years.
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, it's up and down. It's a roller coaster with YouTube. You have your up months. This month's a real up month for me. Then you have your like 2 months where your channel gets nothing, and then it's like that all the time.
So as Taventon is getting ready to do this, he decides to hand the torch to this guy. He's like, "But you did say all traitors of king and country should burn, right?" So he has to be the one to throw the first torch and set this church on fire. I really wish the scene was not really a little bit longer. I just felt like it could have been something more than just them banging on the doors. Maybe they were trying to get to the windows and the British were shooting them. I don't know. I just felt like
no, they lock them all. They lock all of them.
I feel like we could have found a way to get out. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that they could have locked all of them that quickly. There has to be some way out of there. There has to be.
Yeah.
Is this movie rated R? Because I thought they were being pretty soft in this.
Should be.
Well, there's the unrated cut, so I don't know if the main cut is rated R or not.
Yeah. But you make a good point, Joe. I mean, this is a very important scene, and they do kind of cut it pretty quick.
Yeah, like it is a little bit quick, but I guess you don't want to linger on it too much. But what things I don't like about this movie, I don't like him because
you're not supposed to.
No, good point. But you would think after a scene, like look how distraught he looks. He looks like this is
this is his hometown.
Yeah,
This
and
This is
it
where
just
he was
seems-
raised. That he literally just killed everybody that he grew up with.
Yes, but I'm saying like at the end of the movie, we never see this guy get his comeuppance.
No.
Yeah,
Or it's not in,
yeah,
if it's not in the extended supercut. Like I said, like at
it's
the
not.
end,
He doesn't
yeah,
really get a comeuppance.
we see him with Tabington riding off into the battle, and then we never see like he gets capped by the slave guy or whatever. Like no one gets
I
him.
would assume so. I think they leave that up to interpretation for you because I think that he would have got really fucked up because it would have came out that he
Yeah,
was part of this.
This look, I mean, if he would have ended his own life at the end, I kind of would have accepted that maybe. Just show something, but because you would think after a thing like this would kind of haunt you. Like you wouldn't be looking forward to the next battle. But yep, so Benjamin and boys go to the town. They're like, "Oh, that's where is everyone? Were they taken?" And Benjamin sees the chains on the door, and he just knows, yep, they're all burnt to death.
Yeah, they did.
But thankfully, he gets his locket back. So
Pendant.
There you
pendant
go.
that too.
So
Totally
from
worth
personal
it.
experience, this would burn the shit out of his hand. So when I was a kid, I was at like a relative's and they did like a bonfire and like it was hours late. I'm talking like the next day afternoon. So it was the night they did the bonfire, and then the next day in the afternoon, I was like, I found something next to like near the bonfire, picked up, it was metal, and it fucking burned the shit out of my hand. It was still because the ground was still hot, it was still heated.
Oof.
So there's no way that there's still flames around them. This thing would melt his skin. That's
I
how
don't
hot
think
it was.
Benjamin has feelings anymore at this point. He's just.
I mean, later on,
completely numb.
he literally picks up a bayonet right out of flames and doesn't care. So,
What was that scene out of James Bond? It's like, I feel nothing. That guy. I'm really good at accents today.
I feel nothing.
So Gabriel rides off with the boys to get Cat Tabington. It's like, nah, I'm not going to sit here and just deal with this. And again, usual British fashion, they're burning all the houses up as Tabington is.
That's true. Because that's like so messed up.
This one, this one always was so random to me. They like ride past, and it's like just this random cabin out in the middle of nowhere. They're just like, we're just gonna torch this too. We still have fire. We're just burn that one too.
Yeah, as bad as it sounds, I kind of hope it happened like that because that would make the most sense if you're just sending this dude off and saying, okay, spread the message. Anyone that's a friend of Benjamin, your house is burned, your children are all dead. It's like that's kind of what he would do, I would think.
Yeah.
So is Tabington based on a real person at all? Do we know of anything like that?
Hold on, I had it pulled up. Let me see.
Yeah.
Based on the real life British officer Bannister Tarleton.
I like that name so much better.
He was while he was known in real life for his ruthlessness, the film portrays him as an evil figure, even comparing him to a Nazi. So they went a little overboard with him. So what they did was Francis Marion was actually way more like in real life, he was way more vicious than they make Benjamin out to be. He did a lot of fucked up shit. And so what they did was they brought him down and they brought the villain up to balance it as best they could.
Oh, Francis Marion is Mel Gibson.
Is the guy that Mel Gibson is based on. Yeah.
Huh,
I think
he was a very brutal person and did things that would be considered war crimes.
I can see why Tabington doesn't have a first name because Bannister is a really odd name, I think. What's your name? Bannister.
That does not work, bro.
No. Yep. So, one second though. Yeah. So, Tabington, of course, shaven by the river, not a care in the world. As Gabriel shows up, we have clip number 2. Can we go to?
I think that's.
I think this has no sound on us, so make sure we unmute ourselves.
We shouldn't have to. It's just, we should be able.
Oh, you're right.
But you have to play it.
I'm trying to. There we go. Yep. So Gabriel.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. Like, literally, no one misses a shot in this scene. It's.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll see. He was shooting for Gabriel and hit the guy next to him. Starts clubbing people.
It really doesn't make any sense how their coats were so clean all the time.
These guys were up on horses, so they actually did.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Also, I hate how everything is in slow motion. This thing was a bitch to edit.
Yeah.
So
bet.
the
Yeah.
Reverend, what if he would have just shot right there? If he would have just shot, because he's looking right at
Movie's
Tappington.
over if he shot him.
Yeah,
Man.
His
but he has this
last heroic
boss-ass
act.
moment where he puts the gun up for Heath Ledger.
I wonder if he meant to do that or if he just like spasmed.
And just-
Yeah, he kills Tappington right here. Gets his revenge on
So,
his
I mean,
girl and stuff.
personally, this is me. I would have reloaded the gun, shot him again, just to be safe.
Got him.
That's not satisfying enough, Dark Hour.
I don't know. But
Then he
he,
gets
because it was only a grazing blow, it didn't hit him full.
You guys see the slides, right?
It looked like it shot him in the
No, we
stomach,
gotta put it back up.
which is weird.
So
What'd you say? Sorry, what was that?
He looked like he shot him in the stomach.
He did. I'm not sure if they show it in the theatrical cut, but later on they show him, and it's like it's like it almost looks like a gash. Like it didn't go into his stomach; it caught him on the outside.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And,
Benjamin.
that sucked. This was bad. This was hard to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I don't.
And he does say that, like, at first they basically go to send Tavington off to not, like, oh, you're wounded now, so like we're not going to use you for the next battle. And he's like, no, I want to kill people. That's
It's
what
like
I
it's a
do.
flesh wound. I'm good. Yeah. So Gabriel's dying. I don't know if Mel Gibson has lost any children in his life, but he plays this. Like,
Oh,
did he
yeah.
not win for this?
I'm not quite sure if there's a single character who on screen has more trauma
Yeah.
than this character ever. Like he watched his two sons die brutally. I mean, now granted, it wasn't on screen, but they explain it in a scene, the things he had to do during the French and Indian War. He's lost his wife. His home has been burned to the ground. All of his family's possessions have been destroyed. It's like
lost
did
his
he
slaves
explain-
too.
Did he explain? He lost his slaves. Did he explain exactly what he did?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was just gonna mention that I might have accidentally blew through it. It was one of the scenes where he was talking to Gabriel, but he explains what happened at Fort Wilderness, I believe it was.
Or Wilderness.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Where
I
the-
remember the story. So basically,
Wait, can you read as Batman?
Nice.
I can read it as Batman. It's not here. It's like,
Well, you did it with Jaws.
yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. With,
They
I mean,
slaughtered-
I guess I'll find it, and then
We
we'll
gotta
do it.
do it.
We'll find it. Hold on. Keep
We'll
going.
keep ourselves
Oh,
busy in the meantime.
gosh.
We'll keep going as you find the speech. Yeah. So Benjamin, of course, distraught over this. I think he even teases the idea of just deserting at this point because he's lost so much, and he's just sitting here watching watching his dead son, just trying to figure out what to do. Eventually, gets up and buries his body after God knows how long, and then he finds the flag that
Man.
Gabriel has been mending this entire movie.
I love this
So-
tattered flag. It would be so cool if you could buy like an old flag that looks like all rugged and like worn, because those
I'm
things
sure
look
you.
so
I'm sure you
I'm
could
shocked
find
if you
somebody
can't.
who. I'm sure you could find somebody who's trying to get rid of one.
Yeah, I think after this movie came out, they should sell flags that look like they're hand sewed and fixed again, because that'd be pretty cool to have.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Oh my gosh.
I wonder who on the cast actually got to take the flag, because someone stole the flag at the end of the
Mhm.
movie.
I wouldn't be. I
That's
wouldn't
so
be shocked
iconic.
if it went to Heath Ledger.
Because if Chris Hemsworth's taking Thor hammers every time he films a scene back home, so someone stole this thing on the way back. So the militia then joins up with the what's it called, Continental Army. They form one giant army because they know where Cornwallis's forces are going to be. It's like, okay, we have one giant battle to go to. So before the battle starts, Benjamin gives a note to his friend Henry. It's like, anything happens to me, here's a message for my kids and everything. And then we get a nice little moment here between these two characters where he explains. Remember, this was a guy that if you're in there for a year, you're a free man. He's like, your time ended 2 months ago. What are you doing here? It's like, I'm here for you guys. Like, I'm honored to fight with you. So even just like a small moment, like these two characters, I forgot their names, but such an impactful moment because they started off, of course, he didn't like them.
I feel like we didn't hear either of their names. I feel like so many of these guys were just, this is a dude here, this is another dude here.
As I watched the extended cut, I don't think we really got much more out of it.
You
It wasn't
don't
like this
need
was, it wasn't exactly. You really didn't need it, but it shows in this one little scene the camaraderie between these dudes.
Mhm.
Because
he bullied him for the longest time.
Yes, he did. I just want to make sure we're not going too far ahead. So here's what I would like to do with this, because the final clip, it's just the battle's 10 minutes long. So I put a song with it, and I was hoping we would go with the clip, and then we'll just discuss what happened through the slides, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Can I mention something really quick? I think
Yes.
I'm not sure if maybe I just blanked out for a second, but one of my favorite scenes in the whole film, which I have as my intro on my channel, is when because right after his son dies, he tells the colonel, or I guess at this point probably general, that he's done, and then he's not part of it. His men join the general, and they're riding, and they've kind of lost their spirit because Mel Gibson's no longer a part of the team, and then he rides out there with the American flag, the one that his fallen son has been,
Stitching
resewing
up
this
the whole
whole
movie.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just, oh my gosh, it hits.
Well, that's the
so
catalyst.
hard.
He realized at that moment it becomes for him, my son not only died because of what happened with his wife, but like the reason why he's even here is because he actually believes in what's going on here. So now I believe in what's going on here because I have to carry on what he was doing.
Exactly.
If I just leave, he died for nothing. That's what that is.
Yep.
And that's why he comes back.
Good point.
So let's
It's monumental.
I did find the script. I'm going to practice while you play this.
Perfect. Make sure we get some tissues out there. Let's not bust too hard at this awesome song I found with it.
Oh, gosh.
Let me just lower a little bit.
American, they can't take my pride with the red, white, and blue. I'll always ride through every storm and all the lies. I stand for the people looking up to the skies. They'll never take me down, no, I won't bend. With the heart of a warrior, I'll defend till the end.
I love the ending. That's perfect.
Thank you so much. Are the slides working? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I put it up.
Yeah, so that's the final battle. This thing's like 10 minutes long, so I figure let's just play the clip of it, and then we'll just go through and just discuss it quickly of everything.
That felt so early 2000s, but I loved it.
Thank you.
Oh man, that's crazy. This came out in 2000. It's crazy. 25 years ago. Crazy.
Time flies, man.
Man, hasn't
yeah,
gotten that much
25
better since.
No, but the movie, it's still probably like maybe top 15 for me of all time. Like, it's kind of hard to name a lot of movies that stand on their own as, this movie's definitively better than The Patriot. It's like, you really can't say that about a lot of things.
Yeah, I definitely want to hear your guys' opinion if you think Braveheart's better than Patriot or not at some point today.
I don't know about that.
I think they're both really good. I think The Patriot is a little bit better in terms of narrative consistency, whereas the Braveheart has some. I mean, there's some cool battles in this. Braveheart just has fucking awesome battles. It's more. I think Braveheart's a little bit more cinematic.
Yeah, I'd say so. Patriots.
They're very similar movies though, so it's.
Yeah,
I wonder how historically accurate Braveheart was compared to.
It's even. I think it's even less historically accurate than this.
Even less.
And this has made up people in it.
Yeah, I like that you can see the little British colors on the musket ball there.
Did I not answer this question?
You definitely did.
I said my favorite characters were Hawk and Johnny.
Oh, which one is your favorite though, Hawk or Johnny?
I mean, I guess it's Johnny.
It has to be Johnny.
It has to be Johnny.
No one's ever saying Hawk.
Of the non-legacy characters, of the ones that aren't from the previous stuff, the new ones I like Hawk best, but they abandoned him halfway through season 4. So or 5, whichever one it was. I don't remember.
Something I love, like we see sort of another one of Mel Gibson's arcs kind of like concluded here, because during this battle, it's, a lot happens. I mean, there's a lot of layers to this onion. And there's a point in time when, of course, as the Continental forces are kind of faltering, and he has a choice. He has an option to kill, Jason Isaacs, and he has a pretty clear opening, or he can assemble the rest of his retreating troops and lead them forward like a real man, like a real leader. And I love that, he's been faced with this challenge, I think 3 or 4 times, and he's always chosen the right thing. And it ends up, I mean, if it weren't for that moment, the rest of this battle probably would have ended in failure. And he still, in the end, got his kill. But I love that about his character. He just has great timing. He really knows what he's doing.
We were so close to being nothing more than a nation of Tom Hollands and Chip Cheerio and bland, saltless food.
Wow.
I mean, we had already mostly lost the British accent by this point.
At this point,
I get what you mean.
But this fight scene I think is really beautifully choreographed. I just think it's a very brutal scene.
This was probably extremely difficult to do because of just the overall size and scope of what's going on. If you look closely, I mean, if you nitpick the shit out of it, you can see guys doing weird shit in the background. There's one point where there's guys just running for no reason in different directions that
but imagine all these guys watching this fight. It's like, why aren't you helping him?
Well, so one thing that I will say is what separates a good background actor from a bad one is the ones that actually ask, like, hey, what should I be doing? Like, sometimes they don't. A lot of times it's just like, okay, it's a battle, I'm gonna do crazy shit. One of my favorite clips of all time, I don't even remember what it's from, but there's like a scene where a guy is pretending to sweep the floor.
Casino Royale.
Is that it? It's Casino Royale? I was
just going to say that, where James Bond is standing there, and the guy's sweeping 3 feet off the ground. It's like, have you never swept before in your life?
Like, that guy is a bad background actor.
Yeah.
So.
It's unbelievable.
That's bad when you both can reference the same time.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what it was from.
That's crazy.
As soon as he mentioned bad background, I was thinking of that exact scene. But as you were saying before, though, picking up some hot metal off the ground, like, his hand is scarred.
It would be scorched right there. It's just in fire. It doesn't take long for metal to get to peak heat.
Gosh. That would just cut right through this dude.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Man.
Well, that's what is it? Tavington. So when he actually rips a bayonet off of a musket, and that's his other. He has the sword. That's what he does.
Mel Gibson pulled out the knife too with the tomahawk. So just a really awesome. What is this blue flag here? Is this a French flag?
No, that looks like it's probably some either local flag or a battalion flag of some kind.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah, but then we cut over to Yorktown. I don't know how long this is after that battle, but it has the year 1781.
Well, honestly, it's probably not too long after this. I feel like that. So when the movie started, well, when what was it? When Thomas died, it was 2 years after 1776. So you're talking about 1778. So, and then they had multiple campaigns for a while. They were probably doing that for a couple. This is probably about a year later from that battle.
I kind of wish we didn't have the time on it.
I don't know what battle that is. Hold on.
That's a long ass time because
they haven't been very
house pen.
Yeah, they haven't been very consistent with the timeline here.
I would rather
that's a fictional battle. So this is in so the fictitious Battle of Cowton. But it's January 17th, 1781, and then when was the Battle of Yorktown? Which was like the end of the war, but what was the actual date? October. So you're talking about almost a year, 9 months.
That's a long ass time.
Yeah.
But during that time, the French finally showed up. Took them.
Like, we are here. We have finally showed up.
Like, you brought 12 ships. Thank you.
In our pontoon boats.
Oh.
Yeah. So at this point, Cornwallis realized, and it's like, yeah, I've kind of lost this battle. How did I lose to a bunch of farmers and
With
people like
pitchfork.
that? Yeah. So he had to wave the white flag. They say in the voiceover that Cornwallis himself did not surrender. He sent some of his guys out there to wave the flag because he's just ashamed of himself and everything. And this whole
Well, they
time,
do say earlier in the movie that pride is his main weakness. So.
yes, that's true.
One thing I do find funny, so the Continental Army did not have consistent uniforms historically. It was basically whatever, each battalion almost had their own. It was like whatever they could kind of get their hands on. But you see the French have like the most pristine white, light blue uniforms ever.
Of course it's pristine. They didn't do anything until the end.
They showed up and they were like, we win. We were here the whole time.
The only problem they dealt with was scurvy, essentially, because it was like, this battle, they weren't really shooting back at the boats.
Yeah, I wonder how much engagement the French had when they entered the war.
But how do
at the very end, I mean, they did
how do you
send a
plan
lot
it,
of support, but unfortunately, it was one of those things. Getting to battles back then across oceans was not easy. Trying to get 10,000 people and horses and shit across the ocean is not something that you do very easily in large wooden boats.
Yeah, but even so, when the French left, they just had a letter that said, "Okay, meet us here at this day," and it's like, "Oh, I hope 5 years later we're meeting at the same location."
Well, they would have, what would have ended up happening is they would have parked off of the coast, sent in some kind of scout boat to kind of find an area to port. That's what would have happened.
It's like, is the war still going on, guys? I know we're a bit late, but yeah. So after
it was a wine shortage. We needed to be out there doing wine things.
Yes. So after the war is over, I imagine he's hooking up.
But yeah, like Rachel said, their navy was really the deciding. We didn't have a navy. We just the United States had an army. It wasn't a particularly great army, but we didn't have a navy. We had nothing. So their navy was what really cut off the English because they were able to blockade.
Yeah. Wow. Yep. So so he returns back to his home after obviously 5-6 years of being away, and the guys are already repairing his home. Talking about how Gabriel said that we can build a new life and everything. So let's start with your house.
Such sweet guys.
I know, right? Yeah, that's the end of them.
There we go.
Couple behind. I imagine, is that the director to the left? I really don't know who directed this movie.
I mean, this is a shitty picture. I couldn't tell you.
All pictures were shitty. They were all so small, and I bet they're Jason Isaacs and Heath Ledger. Yeah, every picture was blurry to hell. And then we have.
I guess it must be Roland Emmerich. I'm guessing it's really hard to tell.
Yeah,
and that's definitely Pokemon Yellow version.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what the starter Pokemon was.
Well, in Pokemon Yellow.
Yeah. Oh my God! I'm so embarrassed. Yeah, boys, but that
you only have one choice in Pokemon Yellow.
Yes, good point.
So I will try to do this fucking speech in the Batman voice. I will try.
Oh, perfect.
The French and the Cherokee had raided along the Blue Ridge. The English settlers had sought refuge at Fort Charles.
This hurts. I hate it.
By the time we got there, the fort was abandoned. They'd left about a week before. But what we found was they'd killed all the settlers, the men, the women, and some of the children. We buried them all.
I'm slowly becoming Vince McMahon.
It always does that.
I should just do it as Vince McMahon.
We buried them all. But what was left, we caught up to them at Fort Wilderness. We took our time.
Just do it as Vince McMahon the whole time.
It's perfect.
It's like he's in the room, slowly, piece by piece. And then I could see their faces. I could hear their screams. All but two. We let them live, and they had to look at my grapefruits. They had to kiss my ass. We sent the heads on a pallet back to Fort Ambercon. I think that's what that is. Hold on.
Apricot.
Abercon. Apricot.
the tongues, the eyes, the fingers. We put in a basket and sent them down to the Ashwat, to the Cherokee.
I could see why he screwed up. Like, why did you do all
He's a
this?
savage.
Yeah, like
So
what
after
was
the
the
Cherokee broke their treaty with the French, and that's how we justified it. We were heroes. Chris Benoit did it. It was,
Man.
and men bought you drinks.
Wow.
God
Well
damn it,
done.
Austin!
It's actually easy. It actually hurts a lot less to do it as Vince McMahon than it does to do it as Batman.
Because Batman, you gotta talk.
Oh
from the
man,
back.
we have Batman next week, don't we?
No, that's like a month from now.
No, we have X-Men next week. Never mind.
Yeah, X-Men,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, X-Men. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Which
But yeah,
one?
that's the first one.
I should have did it as Stitch. The
Wow.
eyes and the throats, and I beheaded them, and I put them on a pallet, and I sent them down the water, and then I was
Ew.
like, "This is a Rohana."
I want a horror movie with Stitch. That I'd pay to see.
That would be fun.
Where he eats Lilo. That'd be great.
Oh damn, it got dark fast. Looked like one of those where he's protected her by murdering all of her bullies. But yeah, we can go with that.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like you do the Friday the 13th.
Nice.
But yeah,
Oh,
boys, that is
boy.
Basically, what to do that? You got to press your tongue on the back of your throat, and it like pushes down on your vocal cords. That's basically how you do that one.
Oh, nice.
I would pick Johnny as my mentor because Daniel is he is too entrenched in his own ways, whereas Johnny embraces change.
What did you guys think were like some of the low points of the film? Like what didn't work?
So I mean, like I'm glad that they cut out some of the side stories, but I would say that the early part of the movie is very slow, even in the theatrical cut. And I wish that they maybe would have got into it a little bit quicker. I understand you needed to set the stage. Honestly, I like the movie mostly overall, though.
I know. I can't really think of anything to nitpick either. What about you, Joe?
my only nitpick thing was be like what I said before. I wish that guy would have got his comeuppance in the end. Maybe would just have been seen as maybe as the where Benjamin's narrating as his kids are reading a letter. Maybe the guy just sits on a hill with a revolver, not a revolver, whatever, like the pistol or something like that.
I mean, they could have just said that he went to prison. They could have just said that he was sent to prison for war crimes.
Something like that's the only. If I had to have a nitpick, it would be that. But other than that, I don't think I really would change much about this movie.
Yeah, it would have just been like he was sent to prison for war crimes, but actually he died of scarlet fever.
Yeah, it was a little slow in the beginning. We could have had more chairs to develop that, but you know what? I like it for what it is.
You know, it's so funny. When I went into the stream, I thought you guys were going to tear this apart. It'd be
no, I like this movie. I actually enjoyed it.
I'm glad I was.
I don't. So when I make this schedule, I rarely put on movies I don't like.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll put like.
We did Alien versus Predator Requiem. What do you mean?
I said I rarely. Sometimes I'll put on movies that are like not necessarily my favorite, but I know people like them. Like whether it be the audience or somebody that I know, like that I want to guest on the show. But this one was this was one of the ones I've had the longest on the list. I put this on the list probably like early last year. Because I was like, oh, that's 25 years. I'm going to do it on, 4th of July weekend. So this has been on the list for quite a while. Holiday ones tend to be on the list for quite a bit. Sure. Only because I'm like, oh, that would be a great one for X holiday, but it's like that already passed. So I need to do it next year kind of thing. But I actually really enjoy this movie. I've never really, I know that like everybody knows it's not historically accurate. Like where you just accept that though, it's one of those things that you just kind of do. My hair is all fucked up, but you just pretty. It just the headband kept rolling up on me, so I was just like, fuck it, I'll just take it off. But it's one of those movies that I could watch. I do sometimes wish it was a little shorter. But that's these historical fiction epics are never short. They're always 2.5, 3 hours. So
yeah, I know. It's like we really don't get historical epics at all anymore. We really don't get epics, period. I mean, I think the
No.
Dune films that's the recent example.
Yeah, that's kind of an epic, novel adaptation. I would say that like what is the term epic really? So I always say that it's an embellishment of something. It's a huge embellishment of a thing. So I would say Oppenheimer was probably an epic. It was
Huh.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's
Maybe
interesting.
I wanted to hope that Gladiator 2 would have been on that, but I just hated that so much.
Mhm. That'd be weird to call that an epic. I don't know.
I feel like they were going for it with just how beautiful everything looked.
Yeah, it's usually it's like taking a thing and like going over the top with it. That's what I think epic really is.
Okay. Huh. That would definitely be Oppenheimer then.
Like we don't really have Kingdom of Heaven or Troy anymore. Like we don't really have any of
Man,
those
I
coming
missed
out.
Let me see if
We
I can
need
find
that.
like. Let me see if
Have
I
you
can find
seen
like.
Kingdom of Heaven box office, brawler?
Yeah, I have. It was
Oh,
great.
perfect.
I loved it.
I was
I was
gonna
gonna
say,
see
if you didn't
it.
see it,
I was
go
gonna see it.
recommend
I didn't. I was gonna see it in theaters, but something came up. I couldn't.
The
I haven't seen
extended-
the long one. I need to see that one.
The extended version is crazy. The whole movie is different.
Oh, really? Is
Yeah,
it better?
I'm not. I actually don't care for it as much because there's so many additions to it. It's like, wait a second, this is the same exact movie I was watching. I don't want to spoil it for you. I don't want to say too much.
Yeah,
but
so here's the actual definition of an epic film. It's a cinematic genre characterized by its grand scale, sweeping scope, and focus on historical figures or events. So Oppenheimer would be. I mean, Dune is kind of like a fictional epic. It's an adaptation, so it's not based on, but it is sweeping scope and all the. It falls under 2 of the 3 categories. So we kind of already did our final thoughts, I guess. So I mean, we could do it a little bit more, but yeah. I mean, I would have actually. I think that this might have been, if I was going to change this in any way, I may have split this into 2 movies.
where would you have stopped it?
I would have probably stopped it.
Gabriel's death.
That's really far into the movie, so I think that might be a little too far. I mean, you could, in theory, you could have stretched out the end because they really compact the shit out of the end. They just go like, "Oh, here's the final battle," and then a year later, we won.
Like, they heated up quick.
Yeah, they probably could have stretched out the end a little bit more, but I'm not sure. I would say that maybe the church scene probably. So a little bit before Gabriel's death. Might have been a good spot to stop it.
That's a good cliffhanger to leave off on. You see Heath Ledger racing.
He like rides away, they can't find him, and that's kind of
that'd be awesome.
I think that's what I may have done. Maybe split it because it's a 3-hour movie if you take the unrated edition, right? Maybe cut it into two 2-hour movies, and extend out the second part a little bit. That's maybe what I would have, kind of like what they did with Gods and Generals and Glory. There was 2 movies that were really one large movie.
Those are related? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh. I think I've seen one of them, but didn't watch the other, so that's strange. I'll have to finish that. Huh. Yeah. I love Patriot. It was a real pleasure getting to talk about it with you guys and rewatching it because this has been one of those movies.
Oh, sorry, not Glory, Gettysburg. Sorry, Gettysburg.
Oh, Gettysburg. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm
Glory as well.
Sorry.
This movie, it's I think overall it's just inspirational. I love just inspirational stories, and that's something that's so special about Mel Gibson. I think in so many of the films I've enjoyed, some of my favorites with him, he's just a clear-cut hero. And he makes mistakes, he's had troubled pasts like all of us have, but he always brings such an interesting perspective, and he always delivers every time I see him. He has such a rich way of personifying his emotions. It stands out. It's really unlike any other actor. And Heath Ledger is kind of the same way too, which makes it just that much more tragic that we can't get more of him as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's funny because a lot of people, I'll always remember when Heath Ledger died, and because when he was cast as the Joker, a lot of people shit on it for no reason. I think it was mostly because he was coming off of the, gay cowboy movie and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And, but people forgot how good of an actor he really was. And I'm glad that was his last role really solidified that. I mean, he did have a role that came out after that, but it was only partially done. It was, the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. But he only filmed a quarter of the movie, so I don't really consider that his last role. And he does a really good job in this, and he was young. I mean, he wasn't, he wasn't as young as obviously some of the other child actors and stuff, but he was young. I mean, and it's crazy that, that's, I said the other day, he's kind of like that generation of actors. He's kind of like their James Dean, where he just died in the prime of his career. And it was very tragic. And I think that a lot of it started with this. I think this was kind of his run was like from Patriot to Dark Knight was really his run of great films.
He had a pretty long time there, though. I mean, there's a decent amount of time, I think, between those two. I mean, this is 2000. I can't remember when Dark Knight came out.
2008.
Oh, 2008. Yeah, 8 good years. Jeez.
But yeah, I mean, does anyone have any final things they want to say about it before we move on to the everybody's favorite segment?
I'm good.
I think I got us settled.
I think we said everything we possibly could have said about this movie.
Definitely watch The Patriot. If you haven't seen it, it's a must-see.
Just wait.
I think it has to be the Independence Day film you watch every year. I don't
Well,
think
unless you watch Independence Day.
Yeah. I don't know. This is still above Independence Day.
Oh, actually, I got a good question though. Are they going to remake this? And if so, who is Pedro Pascal going to play?
Pedro Pascal would play. He would definitely play Mel Gibson's character.
And I guess Zendaya would play Anne, but she would survive the church.
No, Zendaya would play Gabriel, but she wouldn't die.
Oh, of course,
she'd survive. Yep.
Yeah, I thought she would play Anne and make it out of the church, and of course, save the day.
But that being said, it is now time to plug your shit. This is where you tell us where you've been, where you're going, where we can find you, and what you have coming up. And since we only have one guest today, we'll start with him. Box Office Brawler.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, everybody. In case you don't know me, I'm Box Office Brawler Jackson. On my channel, I do all kinds of things. Something I've been enjoying, as Dark Hour mentioned earlier, is I like to explore the past, explore all the cult classics that I unfortunately have not had the pleasure of watching. And I love older film. I realize, there's a lot of younger people. I think Gen Z gets a lot of crap for not having respect for older film. And, we're just eating up a lot of the sludge that Disney and all the big studios are making. That is partially true, but I know a lot of people in my age range that really do care. And I kind of want to shed a little bit of light into that on my side as a younger man. And, talking about The Patriot, like you guys, we jump into just great films. This Tuesday, we're going to be talking about Jurassic Park, the first one. I actually haven't seen it all the way through. So if you'd like to join me Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time, that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be joined by Kyle Corwith and my buddy Luke, who's also 23 years old as well. And yeah, I do that. And of course, I talk about new films as well. I think this Thursday is the big day. We're watching Superman. So I can't wait. I'm going to have a video on that probably out by Friday evening. So stay tuned for that and appreciate all your support.
You mean the new Superman?
Yeah, the new Superman. Yeah.
I'm actually seeing that on Tuesday. So
what? Oh, it's
Cinemark? I have tickets to advanced screening.
What? Oh, lucky.
That's the awesome thing about living in a major metropolitan area.
Yeah, I guess so. You're spoiled, man.
You have Amazon Prime. You can get it in a couple days.
Yeah,
is that true?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You can do that, but it was only in select cities. It was only in select areas. So, yeah.
Man, I'm excited to hear your opinions, man. That's a big.
I am. If you would have asked me about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I would have said cautiously optimistic. I am now cautiously pessimistic, as Little Platoon has coined the phrase. The more comes out from this movie, the less I think of it. And I am on record as saying I would like to wait and see. I am not. I mean, I still think it will be better than Fantastic Four, but I'm not thinking by much.
That's not saying much.
Yeah.
Oh,
so Joe, what do you got coming up?
I got a lot of headline news coming up, though. We got Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 2. We have Elio, the box office catastrophe. That is people jumping ship from The Last of Us. But I do want to kind of play around with doing some kind of rewrites of movies. I was watching Wolfman the other day, and I thought that this was just so terrible that I want to kind of like redo it. So I might be starting to do something like that, though, where I would rewrite some of these movies that did really bad in the box office and just see what would I have done a little bit differently. So kind of playing around with a couple things here and there. So we'll see.
That movie needs a lot of your help, Joe.
Just tear it all down.
I've considered doing rewrites, but like my channel ended up falling really into a comic book. I mean, that makes sense. What with like all my stuff in a comic book realm. So I actually had considered maybe like rewriting post Endgame Marvel. But it's such a large thing. I'd have to rewrite like 14 or 15 movies, and I'm like, do I have the time to do that right now?
That's an undertaking.
As speaking of the MCU, my second video for Ironheart should be coming out. The first one, anybody who is in the chat who watched that, thank you. It's one of my most successful videos to date.
Wow.
It got by standards of conversion to subscriptions, I think it's my all-time best in terms of percentage. It was a lot of fun to do that one. I have the second video, should be out tomorrow, Tuesday the latest. That's if something goes horribly wrong with it. But I'm on track for a tomorrow release. It got worse. The show got worse. I'm not expecting as big of a view, as many views, because a lot of people are already over it. But I had a lot of fun. I always have fun with these. I love going through them, tearing them up, coming up with these dumb nicknames for things, and it's fun. It's a little, my style has, as you guys know, evolved over time, and has a little homages to Mauler and Drinker specifically, the two guys who inspired me the most. So, but yeah, it's a bad show. It's a really bad show. And it's funny because I was originally going to do something for Jurassic World, but because that first video took off so well, I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to skip Jurassic World. I'll do part 2 of Ironheart. And I had kind of said that on the show, where I thought maybe it would be the one that kind of got lost in the shuffle, and I was right. After that, about a week later, you should see a video about Superman, because I will be seeing it a little early. I'm not booked for any shows in the near future, but I wouldn't be shocked if I get booked for 1 or 2 because of the comic book stuff. Then obviously Fantastic Four, which I think is going to be a dumpster fire, because they're pulling every trick in the book to try and make it sound like people care. Oh, the apps are crashing. Oh, there's no tickets left. And you go on like AMC's website, and there's like one show that has half of the show is filled, and the rest have nothing.
Has that trick ever worked? Ever?
No,
Never. Because you could just look at, like I said, I did the same thing. I looked on my app, and like, every seat's available. What's going on here?
I mean, there was a couple. Don't get me wrong. There was a couple here and there that I would find at various theaters in my area that was like half to 3/4 full. But that's one showing out of like 9 or 10 on that opening 2 days. I'm like, that's not shut down your app. That's not app shutdown levels. And I'm not far from New York City. I'm in a very populated area. Now, if someone took a screenshot of something in Utah and was like, look at all these open seats, I'd understand, or Wyoming. But I'm in the densest populated area of the country. Like, for me to be able to be like, look, 95% of seats for this opening weekend at this theater are still available. That says a lot. Yeah.
Wow.
And but yeah, other than that, that just leaves me to say thank you to my guest, thank you to my co-host, thank you to Mel Gibson for all of your anti-Semitism, and over the years.
Come on,
we didn't even touch on the craziness of Mel Gibson. I had to throw that in there though. And once again, of course, thanks to the chat. We do this for you guys. I will be in the near future changing some things up. Two Hoes will not be disappearing. Don't worry, that's not what it is. But there's going to be some changes on how things are done, mostly because of time slots and things like that. Both of these guys know what I'm talking about. But other than that, that just leaves me to say goodbye to everybody.
See you guys.
Catch you all later.
Watching.
Yep. See you.
Nice.
They were still alive.
Hold on. Are we still live?
Still there.
This fucking thing. I swear.
Oh man.
I'm just going to tell you this. I'm going to leave this on the end too. This is the last time I'm using this shitty fucking service. I'm done. Fuck you, Streamlabs. I'm done.
As you're doing that, your mouth is not matching the words well.
It looked.
That's what I'm talking. It's fucking stupid.
But box office is working perfectly.
Yeah, I looked fine the